Okay, guys, we are live. So for those listening at home, welcome to the Dungeon Musings YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Madison, and I will be your friendly keeper of secrets, because today we are kicking off a brand new campaign on the channel, playing Chaosium's outstanding... Actually, I've got my collector's thing here, but Call of Cthulhu 7th edition, and we will be playing this with Pulp Cthulhu. The campaign we are playing is a pre-made campaign that they have put together called A Cold Fire from Within. A very cool adventure set in the 30s that has not only a lot of really interesting 30s historical stuff in it, it also has some really wild, like 30s sci-fi psychic stuff in it, and a bunch of other tropes from weird fiction from the era. So beyond just like our standard... what do you call it? Our standard Lovecraftian stuff. So I'm very excited about this campaign. And one of the reasons why I am very excited for this campaign is a stellar group of investigators who will be undertaking an investigation in this campaign. So I'll go the order I've got you guys on the screen here. Why don't you tell us who you are and what is your experience with Call of Cthulhu? First up, we've got George.
Hey, I'm George. I started playing Call of Cthulhu in the late 80s and played it mostly at conventions in the 80s and 90s. So once in a while in home games. But I haven't played it very much since then, even though I've owned all the editions since that time period. So, and I also own Pulp Cthulhu. So I'm excited to dive back into it.
Excellent. Next up is Sean.
Hey, let's see. I played a pretty good amount of Call of Cthulhu. I don't think I've ever played Pulp though, so there we go. And it's always I enjoy getting started on like a published. I wasn't familiar with A Cold Fire Within, so I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to checking it out.
It's interesting because it's one of the ones in the 7th edition. They've published a couple of. Like low-key campaigns like this one. There's one set in Indochina that I can't remember the name of. It's up there, and they just released one called The Time to Harvest, which is like a consolidation of their their live play stuff or collaborative play stuff. But it's the ones that... it's the big, mega sprawling ones that always get the attention. It's Massive Nyarlathotep or Horror on the Orient Express or At the Mountains of Madness that really get the attention. So it's cool to, have a campaign that isn't, it isn't one that a bunch of people ran since the 80s. It's cool seeing some new content coming out. Yeah, I'll leave it there. I was going to say, I think I'd side swipe at Wizards of the Coast there about just revisiting nostalgia. But that would be very unfair to them because like Tales from the Radiant Citadel is a very unique thing as well. So they're branching into new territories as well. That would be unfair. Now that I've committed some slander on another publisher, our next player is Gary.
Hi, everybody. Gary Snow here. I've never officially played Call of Cthulhu. I've been a big fan of it for like a long time, but I've never been able to get people to play it. So I'm really anxious to see what it's all about. I just love the genre. I love the pulp genre, and I love even the 20s version of Cthulhu too. So like all in all, I'm super excited, and I'm also really rusty at Roll20. I'm more of a live game player, so if you see me typing in really weird stuff, I apologize right now.
Not at all. And last but certainly not least is Jeffrey.
Hey everybody, I'm Jeff, and I have played the one game that me and Kevin played just a couple weeks ago. A little adventure path that was pretty fun.
That's good to hear. All right, so guys, let's maybe first start with just the what Call of Cthulhu is, and then we'll talk about what Pulp Cthulhu is, and then we'll talk about characters for this, and then we'll talk about what characters you're playing. So Call of Cthulhu is a game that has really changed very, very little over the course of the 40 years, I guess now that it has been around. The primary way that this game differs from a lot of other role-playing games that we play is that it is pretty much exclusively an investigative game. This game is all about uncovering some mysteries and solving some kind of solving some kind of mystery, and then in the process trying to maintain your sanity and ideally thwart whatever awful shit is going on, whether it's something that is inadvertent or something that is a plot or a plan or whatnot. For this, I guess the reason it's worth noting that that's a different style of play is because some of you guys have heard this spiel before, but like the way that you interface with the game and the story in an investigative game is very different from the you do in a traditional role-playing game. You know, it is a lot more proactive on your part. I hate that word because it's fucking pop stuff, but you have to be taking steps to interact with the environment. And one of the things, so you're going to be going and investigating and trying to find clues and get an idea of what is going on. The clues will generally point you in the direction of more information, and you'll carry on that process until either you go insane, you're murdered by horrible nameless things, or you manage to solve the mystery and stop the villains. One thing with Call of Cthulhu, in particular for these pre-made adventures too, is there is a really great aspect of environmental storytelling as well too. Handouts have always been kind of a thing in Call of Cthulhu. Like in the 80s, we would do things like create notes and color them with tea and burn the edges when we're playing D&D. It's a lot easier to fake a newspaper or something like that, with Call of Cthulhu than it is to do some ancient scroll or whatever else. And from the early days, Call of Cthulhu has really embraced that stuff, and it allows you to get, especially by the time of this latest edition that we're playing, there's some phenomenal handouts that you can get for some of the stuff, particularly if you're playing in play. The Master of Nyarlathotep campaign that I mentioned, like there's an actual box of extra stuff and handouts you can get from the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society that is actual in-universe stuff you hand out. We're going to see some of that in this campaign as well, but it lends the game a really interesting element of you reading actual in-world things and then trying to extrapolate information from that. So that, I think, is something quite unique from, I think, if you got anyone who's a very verbose dungeon master or whatnot, they're going to be doing a degree of that in their other campaigns, but it plays a big part in this one. So expect to be sort of puzzling over these handouts and talking to one another about what they mean and what the context is. That's part of the style of play as well, is not just making rolls in your character sheet and finding the answer. It's putting together those puzzles, and that's really a big part of the fun of the game too. There's there's sort of a popular archetype, or not archetype, but sort of stereotype joke of Shadowrun, that the game of the style of play in Shadowrun is you get the job, you spend 90% of your session planning how you're going to do the thing, and then in the last 10% everything goes to shit and you got to shoot your way out. And the joke is that that kind of analysis, over analysis, really ruins the game. But the analysis and the solving of the riddles, that's the play in Call of Cthulhu. So don't worry if you're spending a session of you guys trying to puzzle how these handouts, especially as you're getting more things and you're trying to puzzle how all of this fits together. That's the expected gameplay. That's what the whole game is about, is you guys having fun trying to collect information, figure out how it fits together, while I try and kill you and or drive your characters insane with awful, horrible things. I also plan on using the word eldritch about 6 to 20 times a session, because it's mandatory, it's in the rules, I gotta, So that's standard Call of Cthulhu play in general.
Do we drink when you say it? Is that the kind of thing we're
yeah, really?
Yeah.
You do, but it has to be absinthe. So,
Okay.
Oh man.
Who's got the burned sugar cube? Come on.
Seriously.
Then so the way that Pulp Cthulhu differs from that is the Pulp Cthulhu is intended to be a bit more of a closer to a Howardian kind of pulp, where it's like you encounter nameless and horrible things, but then you punch it in the face, as opposed to the Lovecraftian pulp, which is you meet these things, then you go mad, then you write a long short story, and then you throw yourself out a window. This is going to be more in the Howardian vein of beating the bejesus out of stuff. One of the ways that your characters differ from standard Call of Cthulhu characters is you're going to have one stat that's going to be amazing, that's going to fit with your archetype. You're also going to have more skills, You're also going to have 2 talents, which are kind of like game cheats. So they might allow you to like attack twice a round or whatever, like use weird technology and or have psychic powers. Like it's these characters are more of a cut above. Another way it simulates it is you've got double the hit points that other characters, comparable characters have, so you're a little more durable. It can be very easy to die in Call of Cthulhu, and combat is a very tense environment. It's not tactically deep the way we see in a lot of other games. It's fairly simple, just contested rolls, and that's it. But the Pulp Cthulhu extra hit points gives you a little more cushion with that stuff. In addition, you also are expected to be playing with some optional rules regarding one stat called luck. Luck is going to be one of your however many stats, and you can spend it like currency. You spend that, and then you can modify dice rolls on a one-for-one basis. Task resolution in Call of Cthulhu is always D100, and you roll less than your stat or less than your skill. At the end of or the beginning of each session, you make a roll on your luck, and then depending if you succeed or fail, you'll either get a whole bunch of luck back or you'll get a little bit of luck back. So it's expected that you're going to be playing that. That's one of the ways that you also get that. Get the what do you call it? Get your characters to feel more competent at the table and to work your way around the vagaries of the dice roll. There may be some other small things. The way insanity is handled in Pulp Cthulhu is a little different from the standard game, but we'll deal with that when your characters reaches that point. Notice I say when, not if. It's when. That is a horrible check in the mail from somewhere in Arkham County that will be arriving within the next couple of sessions. Other than that, that's sort of like how Pulp Cthulhu differs. It gives you're a little bit more of a scrappy character, and then it also notably is set in the 30s as a default, as opposed to the 20s in the core, Call of Cthulhu experience. And it there are some other things. So like you're expected to be a part of kind of like a heroic organization. And then some of the sensibilities, like with weird technology and mastermind enemies, a lot of the tropes from Pulp, they're just part of the Pulp Cthulhu setting, which is not the case in standard Cthulhu, generally speaking. This campaign in particular is super pulpy. It's awesome. It's going to be a lot of fun to see some of the classic Pulp tropes in it. But that is Pulp Cthulhu in general. Let's now talk about A Cold Fire Within. So one of the things I've mentioned there's some things I had sent the players before just as preparatory work to give you an idea of what kind of characters to start thinking of, but I'll go through it once again just in the event that you don't check the ridiculous amount of spam I put on our Discord server, or if you just to refresh your memory. So this campaign uses Pulp Cthulhu's optional psychic rules, and the belief in and the use of paranormal powers are key themes. Whether the heroes do or not is up to the individual gaming groups, but those that don't feature psychic heroes will still be able to fully enjoy the campaign. That said, psychic heroes definitely fit and enjoy an occasional slight mechanical advantage. So there's definitely going to be a opportunity for those characters to see their powers, whatever powers you end up with, as really manifest and play an important role in the game. Pulp Cthulhu typically portrays psychic powers as abilities unlocked through esoteric practice, usually originating in the exotic Far East, or through spiritualism. This certainly typifies a great deal of the way such abilities were depicted in the pulps. In early science fiction, however, psychic powers are usually the result of some form of mutation, a genetic predisposition, or alien science. And they cite H.P. Lovecraft and Zelia Bishop's novella The Mound, with its ancient culture of psychically powerful beings, as an example of it in Lovecraftian lore, or the Lovecraftian legendarium. They believe that their gifts came from one alien being, and that other aliens, which they call space devils, have suppressed humanity's psychic birthright. Attempts at scientific explanation for paranormal phenomena were not unique to the fiction of the era, and many esoteric thinkers, such as Madame Blavatsky and the other theosophists, mixed theories of evolution with fringe ideas regarding lost continents and proto-human species. I shared a link to a recent Behind the Bastards. It was a 4-part series about Madame Blavatsky, And if I didn't share it on the general thing, but I'm not going to put a link down below. If you do want to know more about Madame Blavatsky and the historical context for her kind of movement and whatnot, Behind the Bastards, a terrific podcast, did have a 4-part series about it, and it's really it's very, very interesting. I found it very interesting, at least. One thing I will say is that this, like a lot of pulp stuff, this adventure, it does not embrace or celebrate or whatnot, but there is going to be an element of the 30s race science nonsense in here, which is intrinsically wrapped up in theosophic beliefs. So just be aware that there is some... the characters certainly will not be embracing that, and we're not going to be coding it as being like the right answer for things, but Theosophy has baked into it really, really racist ideas and assumptions, particularly the misunderstanding about the degeneration of races and cultures. That does not play a part. The authors of this do a great job of honoring that pulp tradition, but putting it into a very interesting way. That said, in the course of the campaign, we're playing in the 30s. The 30s are both a very racist and also kind of a fascist-friendly time, so we may see that stuff as well too. There's a terrific Behind the Bastards about early American fascism. If you want to learn the real-world background for this stuff, like the Silver Brigade and the German-American Bund. So to give historical context to some of the stuff that's in here. Also, the author of... Gosh, I didn't mention this in the thing. Sinclair Lewis... It Can't Happen Here is a huge influence on this campaign as well. I didn't mention that in the Discord, guys, but it's something worth mentioning as well. So very much a part of both the fictional and the historical 30s stuff in this game. Anyway, I got distracted by that. So the point being, for what's important for character generation is that psychic powers aren't necessarily, you don't have to play the mystic or whatever ones that are in the pulp rulebook. That you can have characters who independently develop psychic powers. So don't feel that you're restricted to be playing one of those archetypes like the cult leader or the mystic or whatever it is to in order to have psychic powers for your character. As far as making characters in general, let's see here. As with most pulp adventures, physically hardy characters have plenty of opportunities to show off, whether it's leading perilous expeditions, sparring with homegrown fascists, or shooting at charging abominations. Archetypes such as Explorer and Thrill Seeker will undoubtedly relish in the opportunity to uncover the secrets of this campaign. Heroes with a cerebral bent, from the mystic occultists to the egghead professors, will find numerous opportunities to shine as well. I listed in the Discord server skills like occult, parapsychology as a science, history, archaeology, anthropology will all see very useful be useful skills in this. Grease monkeys, speaking of technology, grease monkeys and other mechanically inclined characters can figure out how to operate some of the strange devices they'll encounter. Heroes can even get behind the controls of various, well, that's a secret. Let's just say that pilot, drive auto, and operate heavy machinery may come in handy over the course of the campaign as well. And I certainly, it encourages me strongly to allow you to play weird science characters. So if anyone wants to play a bizarre inventor, you are certainly welcome to do that as well. And then finally, they mentioned the psychic stuff. Honestly, any type of character is going to find a role. You guys are part of an organization called the Open Mind Group. Members of which are known as the Open Minders. Really, all you need to know is that if you have an interest in powers of the human mind and body, while ghosts, fairies, freak occurrences, and so on are of interest, the members tend to focus on unlocking the human potential. It is in many ways a social club, a way for fellow travelers to relax together, and this one is a very egalitarian group. It is not, just rich industrialists getting together and talking about stuff. It's a friendly kind of, salon-style meeting sponsored by a lumber baron and based out of New York. Our campaign takes place, or will kick off in early May 1935. So situate your characters appropriately for that, as far as coming up with your character ideas. And that's all the talking I'll do for now. Oh, nice. That's great, Sean. Yeah, the Call of Cthulhu one as well. That will might prove useful over the course of this this actual campaign as well too. They do a clever way of incorporating that stuff too. So. For those, so for our players then, guys, I saw some chatter on Discord as well, so it sounds like some of you guys have some ideas for general ideas of who you might want to play. George, I know you've got an idea. Gary's got an idea. George, why don't you start off? Tell us what your idea for a character is.
So I was thinking, just given all of that context for the specific campaign and the, the sort of the pulp genre element as well. Normally, I would immediately play a mystic, as everybody probably would guess. But I want to do something different. I know,
Which is nothing wrong.
exactly.
Again, like the amount of fucking
it's
werewolf, things I introduce in every one of my games. I do apologize for the werewolf you're going to encounter in this as well.
I just make
And then the owlbear.
Yeah.
Yeah, right, exactly. It makes it easy for everybody to know what's going to happen in the game. So it's, So, but I decided this time I want to do something different, but still retaining that, kind of a psychic element to it, like as you mentioned when you were describing what the adventure would sort of incorporate. So to start out, I thought, okay, what could I do that's different? That's not what I normally play. As a more cerebral character that's more thoughtful and kind of strategic, that I would play the opposite, which would be a thrill seeker. So I really like that archetype who's like sort of, I'm just in this to I'll just do anything. I don't care. Like, let's go, let's do it. Not putting a lot, not that he's not smart. He just doesn't put a ton of thought into things before he does them. So I thought that was sort of a Howardian kind of like style as the basis. And then I, in looking through occupations, so obviously it gives you some suggestions for types of occupations that might work for that kind of archetype. And so I picked, what I'm assuming I'm going to do is be a spy. I thought that might work with what was going on and time period and all of that kind of stuff. And it's the kind of spy that probably is good at what he does, unless he's terrible at what he does. Like he can go either way. I didn't plan out my character in terms of like stats or any of that kind of stuff at all.
It's also just when I saw you mention it earlier today, and I didn't go to the the interwebs to look things up yet, but I was thinking about it, and the thing that's always interesting about playing a Call of Cthulhu character is that more often than not, you're playing a veteran, right? Someone who was in the First World War. And at the time you're at, this is pre-OSS, and this is so like way pre-CIA. And this is enough years after the war that pretty much they laid down most things after the war. So at best, you're maybe like a criminal who's working with a State Department in some capacity, or you did at some point maybe. So it's a really neat way of being.
What was the year again, Kevin?
1935.
1935.
Yeah, and I thought I could be working for whoever. I could be work for hire too. Like I could, whatever makes sense, whatever, as we develop our characters and integrating our characters into one group. And then lastly, I decided, well, I can't not have psychic powers. It's just not doable for me. So, in looking through the options, I will definitely be choosing a psychic power as one of my talents. I think it's called.
Yep.
Pulp Cthulhu. Yeah, one of my two talents is going to be a psychic power. I think I know which one, but I want to see what everybody else is thinking before I settle on it.
Awesome. That sounds great. Gary.
And he's got, and lastly, I'll just put in, in terms of his personality, I'm thinking like Robert Downey Jr. from Sherlock Holmes kind of vibe, except with the like Robert Downey Jr. from Iron Man kind of background, where he's got issues.
Yeah.
As we meet him, that he's gonna have to work through.
Very cool. Gary, what did you have in mind?
Well, I had in mind a aging actor. So his best years are behind him. He was on a long-running Broadway play, but nobody wants to hire him anymore. So now he's trying to find a new chapter in his life. But he's originally from rural Pennsylvania, so he has some background into running tractors and that kind of stuff. But he hates that life and never wants to go back to it. And that's why he's a bon vivant. Even though he has no money, he lives gregariously in the world, and he relies upon his fellow characters to pick up the tab often, even though he enjoys the fruits of their labor. and I'm interested in maybe having a psychic power that maybe was unlocked at some point on the farm. So who knows?
Very cool. Nice. So, Jeff and Sean, have you guys given any thought to what kind of character you might want to be playing?
Get in there, Jeff, if you've got something.
Sure. Yeah, I had a character concept. I was thinking of playing a female who is a like a stage magician's assistant. And at some point in the past, the magician that I was working with has mysteriously disappeared. You know, he's gone missing. And sort of one clue that I followed led me to the Open Mind group, where I found a lot of people who had sort of similar thoughts and, you know, with no one to work with, but enough money to sort of survive. I sort of fell in with them and their adventures and sort of became entwined in that life.
Okay, cool.
So it could be, you know, I don't know, a femme fatale or a harlequin or a rogue or a sidekick. There's lots of lots that fit depending on what we need, maybe for some skill.
Very cool. And then Sean, how does that? So for niches, it's great. Everyone's got a lot of chatty stuff. We got some folks with some psychic powers. We got someone who is likely. I imagine if she is used to working, you know, these shows dressed the way an assistant would be dressed, she's probably physically capable of taking care of herself. Yeah,
and I imagine that. She's got some good dexterity type action, right? Like if you're performing those tricks on stage, she's, you know, flexible and strong. So,
and able to pick locks and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay, very cool. So Sean, does that help sort of give you an idea of what, what spotlight your character may want to claim?
It does. I had a couple of vague ones, and so that's good because I wanted to see if what was going to be already done and what was needed. Maybe an exorcist, I'm thinking.
Okay.
That's it.
So
Looks
a
like
Catholic
that's listed
priest.
Yeah, or something more obscure of like something less accepted. Like that's so official. It's not on question. But,
the reason being is so the exorcist is a specific Catholic rite.
Yeah.
So
understood.
that's why I was saying, like, I'm assuming he's Catholic then.
No, totally.
Yeah.
And it's the word used in the book. It's under steadfast. And so he would be, because I think it wouldn't hurt to have someone a little bit rough and ready. Because we had two characters that seem like they probably would not be. George's is probably, that's a spy. That sounds pretty rough and ready. So I would be another, fairly able to handle themselves.
Okay.
But with a, but probably into conspiracies. And so on the conspiracy side of exorcism, like thinking that not so much official church capacity, but thinking that there's bad things out there and they need ritual treatment, or I don't know, some kind of
And I certainly don't want, if you are going to play a Catholic priest, I don't want you to feel hemmed in any way by that. Like what I would assume is that as part of the diocese, maybe your character's got more liberty to go and deal with the knowledge of an exorcist in the Catholic. It's the rite is a specific Catholic thing, but identifying what's what things might or might not require that. There's a TV show called Evil that has the whole conceit of the series is like it's a team put together and paid for by the Catholic Church of like electrician and like a Catholic priest or a lapsed priest and a psychologist, and they identify whether something's actually possessed or whatnot, and it's not just people, it's places or buildings or objects or whatnot that can also be possessed. I mention that only to say that there's probably, if you want to play an exorcist but with more of a worldly kind of experience, that makes sense because you would have been pulpy globetrotting dealing with this your issues. but also I think it would be expected that you would be exposed to and dealing with things outside of the norm for the average, Catholic priest.
Yeah, maybe when the church outsources it, that's when I get the call. They don't want the nonsense of a priest having to do something. Ooh, that doesn't sound good. We better outsource this. That kind of.
And I mean, like, what the lapsed Catholic is sort of a great pulp trope too, right? So like, all right, Father, just this one more time, kind of thing.
Yeah. I'll have to think about it, because it could be that. It could be that he was thinking about the priesthood, but then maybe went to war or something, some incident interfered and he came back kind of changed, and so now he's more rough and ready. He's less praying and more beating with the cross, or some kind of.
He's seen some shit, yeah.
Right. So some kind of nonsense kind of gave him a little more hard edge than than wanting to hear confessions. I mean, the only confessions he wants to hear, it's a little, go. Use your imagination. That kind of a.
The other thing I'll mention as well is that our campaign does take place in and around New York City and that kind of region, New York State. You need not play Americans, though. So if your characters are from, you are going to be living in New York City. You're focused on New York City, but this is, as is the case now, it is a great, it is a great cosmopolitan metropolis. So if your character happens to be from elsewhere, go nuts.
There's lots of bad accents. Just get in there.
I already had to start practicing myself, so I'm not doing a faux, somewhere in the British Isles accent, because it takes place in New York. You can't do my go-to, what do you call it?
Hobbit or
not the Low Countries, the. I can't remember what region in England it's from, but in any event. Okay, well, that sounds good. So we got everyone. So let's take a look at the steps we're going to go through. So creating pulp characters is on page 15 of the Pulp Cthulhu book. 7 steps. Step 1, choose a pulp archetype. Step 2, generate characteristics. Step 3, determine pulp talents. Step 4, determine occupation. Step 5, decide skills and allocate skill points. And then step 6, create a backstory. Step 7, round out the hero. Step 8, go insane and or die. I may have written that one in my book.
Yeah, that's just in the first session.
Yeah, exactly.
right.
Really keeping you guys on your toes here. All right. So, and I mean, some of this is going to be overlapping. You're going to be, when you pick your archetype, the thing you're going to get is you roll 1d6 plus 13 and then multiply by 5. That will be your, whatever it's called, the signature ability, core characteristic. So let me take a look here. Now, one of the things I noticed when I was getting this ready was that they have changed the character. It used to be that you could easily change the type of character sheet. So you would hit it and it would be in the pulp one and would have the other things you get with the pulp, like the archetype and whatnot. And it's gone now.
What?
Yeah, I don't know why. Sorry, George, I'm hopping around on yours here.
Yeah.
Unusual.
Settings in the last one here.
Yeah, settings. There's the settings 5, and even on the back end of it, you can't switch it.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah,
and there are different sheets. I guess you checked that.
Yeah, there are 2 different sheets, but this one, because of the possessions. No, because of the. I thought I was going to at one point use the compendium. I was going to pick up the book, and then they implemented a PDF thing. I was like, well, they don't have the Pulp Cthulhu available on Roll20 either. So I think what you need to do then is you guys can list your archetype, I guess, under backstory.
Okay.
Somewhere in there, you'll put down what your archetype is. Encounters with strange entities, traits. Yeah, I don't know. It's a shame because the way those sheets used to work was really quite good. These are the official Call of Cthulhu ones.
They're nice. Yeah, I've used these before.
They're really good. It's a shame that they made that change.
Yeah.
Remember, when we played that Night Below, that 2-part Night Below Call of Cthulhu one. That's those sheets. You could toggle between the Old West one and Down Darker Trails or Pulp or Modern. Yeah. or 20s. So, and it would update the skills as well. So the skill list would correspond because, you know, it's each of the different settings has. You're going to see very little use of computers in your, Pulp Cthulhu game. But in any event, so it sounds like some of you guys have your archetypes. Why don't you? So George, which one were you thinking?
Thrill Seeker.
Okay. And Sean, what are you thinking?
Steadfast.
Nice. And Gary, you said Bon Vivant?
Yep.
Nice. And Jeffrey, what are you thinking?
I think I'll go with Rogue.
Rogue, nice. Okay.
Yeah, I like to think of her more as like, you know, tricking her way through life, not just like, you know, setting her own rules kind of thing, not just relying only on her charm and beauty.
Nice. So then, would you each kindly give us a 1d6 plus 13 times 5 roll, and that will be your core characteristic. Jeff, you get to pick yours, either dex or appearance. And let's see here, what are the other ones? Bon Vivant is size. That's great.
Yep.
And Steadfast is Constitution, and then Thrill Seeker. What is it? Oh, you get to choose two. It's Dex or Power.
Yeah, I'm going to choose Power.
Nice. So go ahead, guys. We'll let in chat. Let's see how we do here. It's 5 plus 15. Plus 13. So that'd be 18 times 5 is 90. So you put 90 in as your size, Gary. And I think you may need to.
Well,
nice, 9. Holy shit, 95 for Lady Avery.
Okay, so that'll be either my dex or my appearance.
Yes, and you can add that to your character sheet right away because you won't be making that change afterwards.
No, I know. I'm just. Yeah.
Okay. George, nice, really good roll as well. Holy smokes.
95.
Okay, and then
which is, I believe, a difference with Pulp Cthulhu. You can have a skill be 95% rather than 90.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then Sean, let's hear you. That's a 16 then, so that is 80. Yeah, perfect. All right, so then we're not going to distribute the points yet, but let's hear, what do you have to do next?
Do we roll all our other stats then?
Yes, now we'll generate the rest of your stats. So, and we'll just do it one by one. I'll put it in, we'll do it like we do with D&D. So anyone who has to generate strength, roll 3d6 and multiply it by 5.
Okay. / roll 3d6.
I'm just trying to.
She's a very small woman.
Wow, that's small.
Oh, that's. So your guy is a strong man then too, Gary. Jeez.
So, oh
That's
god,
525. That's fantastic. All right, then anyone who needs to roll Constitution, this is 3d6 times 5 as well.
Oh my god. I'm rolling so amazingly bad.
She actually was, it's like, what do you call it? The Prestige. You're actually the woman who was drowned, only you get saved the last second. You got water lung for the rest of your life. Okay. 80 for Constitution for Sean and 40 for Gary.
See,
perfect.
so 80 was my core.
You're only rolling if you need to roll that stat. So you've already, if it's your core, you've already got that stat rolled.
Okay.
Yeah, you can ignore that. All right, next up is going to be size. Size is 2d6 plus 6 times 5. Gary, you get to sit this one out. We already know that your guy is a very imposing presence.
2d6 plus 6 times 5?
2d6 plus 6 times 5. You're a little person.
Yeah.
Lady Avery is huge, on the other hand.
Oh my god, she's a crazy character so far.
So she's like a glutton afterwards. And then there was this time. All right.
That's all right.
That's 70, nice. Okay, next up is dexterity. So if you need to roll dexterity, 3d6 times 5. Nice, 45. 35. Oof.
Must have an injury.
Oh wait, no, I'm not supposed to roll that one.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Gary at 40. All right. Next up will be your appearance. 3d6 times 5. Okay. Lady Avery. 55. Nice. Okay. 3. I think.
I'll get there.
There you go. Okay. Next up will be intelligence, which is 2d6 plus 6 times 5. Nice.
Sorry, can you say that again, Kevin?
Sure. 2d6 plus 6 times 5.
This is intelligence?
Intelligence, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one actually rolled the math there. It multiplied 6, and then it added 9.
Oh.
Well, so what that
Okay.
should be, what's okay, we can just do the math on it. It's 15, that's 75, I think? Yeah. 75 will be your intelligence. Okay. Next up, if you need to roll it, is your power. Power is 3d6 times 5. Okay. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Okay. And then the final one we're rolling, well, actually, just one more we got to roll after this. But next is your education. This one is also 2d6 plus 6 times 5. 85, Nick. Wow.
Interesting.
That's 15 for Lady Avery, so 75. 60 and 12, that'd be 60 for Gary, for your character. All right. So the character sheet will do the math for the like half and fifth stuff you need for hard and difficult, or whatever the difficulties are. Let's roll your luck. Your luck is 2d6 plus 6 times 5. Okay, so 14, 55. And this one will be, this is, again, the currency you can spend on your dice rolls and to do some other cool stuff, too. 65, nice. Okay. It also is my favorite use of luck is if I need to determine which person gets attacked by a monster, you all make luck checks, and whoever does worse, they're the one where something shitty happens to. It's a really fun mechanic. Okay, so the next up is you can record your sanity. Your sanity is equal to your power to start with. Your hit points, add your constitution and your size together, and then divide them by 5.
Sorry, what was that? Your constitution and your what?
Con plus size. And then divide them by 5. That's how many hit points you have. Your magic points are 1/5 of your power.
Mine were automatic, I think.
It may, may calculate for you.
It, yeah.
Yeah. And then your damage bonus is, okay, we have to look at your, where's the...
That's under combat?
That is, here it is. Damage bonus, I think, is under combat.
It is, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Add your size and strength together, and then we look at the table 1 or damage thing, which is, I think, not in. Oh, it is in here. Fuck, nice.
It might have calculated. Mine has something calculated.
Yeah, mine does too.
Oh, does it? Okay, so what?
Yeah.
Mine
Mine
is
has
a
a negative
1d4.
1.
Oh, Okay.
Yours has a -1, really?
Yeah.
Well, he's quite. I can't remember if he was small or weak.
I'm super small. I roll the lowest you can roll on my size.
It also could be skinny. You could just be like, a beanpole.
Yeah.
Mine has a die. Mine has 1d4, or unless that's
Yeah.
asking
Yep,
me
that's
to roll
right.
then.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the character sheet does it correctly. And then your movement rate, is that also recorded on your character sheet automatically?
No. Not
Where's
mine.
this chart, Kev?
Well, it's in the Pulp Cthulhu book on page 23, but it sounds like it's auto-calculating for you anyway.
Okay.
Let's see here. If we can go to your combat tab.
Yeah, I'll just confirm it.
Yeah, damage bonus is 0. Your strength is 25. Your size is...
Yeah, I'm 110, which equals
110
no
is
change.
no modifier.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so then for movement rates, this one is a little harder. So
Mine's calculated as well.
is it?
Yeah, it gave me an 8.
Yeah, me as well.
I think, I have an 8, but it's a grayed out.
Yeah, it's grayed
8.
out. That might be a default.
Mine's not grayed out for some reason.
So let's see here. So here's what it is.
Interesting.
If so, take a look at your stats. If
Maybe
both
it's telling you, but you can override it because there's.
8 is let's see here. If your dexterity and your strength are each less than your size, you have a movement of 7. So if both dex and strength are less than size, it's 7. If either strength or dex is equal to or greater than size, or if all three are equal, then you have a move of 8. And if both
that's
strength
correct.
and dex are equal to or greater than size, then you have a move of 9.
Oh, actually, yeah, so mine should be 9.
Okay? So both your strength... Yeah, right, because you're
Yeah.
puny.
Yeah.
Okay. So does everyone have their move listed now?
Yep.
Excellent. Next thing then is your talents. And we're not going to roll randomly because I want you guys to play the characters. There's enough randomness in this, in the game. You can pick what things you want to have fit what your vision of the character is. So you each get to pick 2 talents, and they can come from any of the 4 tables: physical talents, mental talents, combat talents, or miscellaneous talents. They're on pages 24 to 26 of the core of the Pulp Cthulhu book. And George, if you needed to look up your psychic stuff, you may already have.
I kind of took a quick glance at the talents. So it's table 4 mental talents, number 9 psychic power. I was thinking of choosing psychometry. Thought that made sense for a spy
Yep.
to have.
Yeah. So
I
psychic,
think I'll be on that. I just sort of
psychic
looked at
skills
that.
start on page 84. If you want to see, for those of you who want to play psychic characters. But yeah, take a moment if you want to talk through which ones are looking good for your characters, or if you've got a suggestion for the other players for which ones might be good for their characters. Feel free to share those ideas.
I can just quickly tell you what my other one is, just in case it matters to anybody, is lucky, because I feel like I'm just constantly, jumping the gun and doing things I probably shouldn't be doing, and I always need luck to succeed more than anything. And it basically allows you to get some more luck back at the beginning of a session when you make that luck recovery roll.
Nice.
So it's not filling a role like a specific, it's not like a psychic power where, okay, I'm taking care of medical issues or whatever, or firearms or something. I'm not super talented in those things. I'm just sort of tend to be luckier than the average person.
Okay. So you're taking psychometry as psychic power and luck, or lucky?
Correct.
Okay.
Lucky, yeah, exactly.
What are the rest of you guys? What are you thinking? What's looking good for your characters here? And I will tell you, if you are taking animal companion, Pitbull cross, then I think you can pretty ensure that dog will last until the end of the session and may guest star in another one.
Pandering, right? I will probably take tough guy. I think that's his. He's like the Exorcist orderly. He's like kind of a lumberer. He's the guy that sits on people while,
There's so the most recent Exorcist TV show had the first season of it was really good. Second season was a little, but first season it had. Can't remember his name is Ben something or other. He's the guy. He plays one of the like fighter pilots in Rogue One, and he plays one of the lead characters in. Jupiter's Legacy, the Mark Millar comic-based Netflix series. But anyway, he looks like kind of like a tougher young Alec Guinness. And so he's just like it was a great model for like a tough young exorcist.
Cool. Yeah. Yep. Let's see here.
I think I'm gonna go with the iron liver from all the excess living that he's been doing.
Nice.
Nice.
I'm sure I'm overlooking.
Where are you guys
talents.
putting your talents?
Yeah, I agree. I was just about to say
So
something.
here's a cool thing about Pulp Cthulhu. It's interesting you bring it up, Gary, because levels of intoxication effectively give you armor against sanity loss.
Oh, that's
So if you're like wobbling around half soused, then you're gonna be taking less sanity loss. Like, is that a fucking deep one? I swear that's a deep one over there.
See, I'm not stupid. That's that's one of the reasons I came up with that idea for this character.
You pick the game designer in the crowd. Okay, so you taking Iron Love. You got a second one, Gary, or?
I guess the question I had was I had a tough time finding it. So is it you pick two traits out of any of the tables?
Yeah, you
is
do
that right?
two. One from two from any. You could take two from physical, or you could take one from physical, one from something else.
Okay.
Jeffrey, you got any jump out to you yet?
Yeah, I was gonna take Smooth Talker,
Nice.
and I was considering taking maybe Rapid Attack or Outmaneuver or Fleet-Footed, like one of the three sort of more getting into melee. Because I don't see her using a firearm necessarily, but she may have some kind of a dagger or a sword or something that she protects herself with.
Okay.
Some kind of bladed weapon.
Okay. So yeah.
What is I don't know, you might know more how relevant they are. So outmaneuver increases your build by 1 for deciding what kind of maneuvers you can do.
Yeah, like it depends. It dictates what kind maneuvers are. Just like think of like any kind of wrestling
or
like pushing, shoving, grappling, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And one of the parts of the like deciding what you're capable of and what the difficulty is comparing the relative size of things. What that would allow you to do is to basically like manhandle things that are larger than you. But not to be indelicate.
Right,
I think
my build is 0 right now.
it is, yeah.
So I may be better off trying to do something like Rapid Attack and be quick with my blade rather than like try to shove people around or whatever, because I'm not that strong.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go with Rapid Attack.
Okay.
Gives me a luck spend too, which is interesting.
Nice. Okay. Then Sean, what is your second one?
Probably heavy hitter.
Okay.
I'm checking the miscellaneous right now just to make sure there's not something.
Oh yeah, do extra dice of damage.
Yeah. I'm between heavy hitter and scary. So either the intimidation or the thumping. I'm debating between those.
Gary, do you have your second one?
Yeah, in going with the character, I'm gonna have him be handy because of his background on the farm.
Very cool.
Yeah, I'll go heavy hitter. Heavy hitter.
Heavy hitter. Nice. Okay. So you got your pulp talents. Next thing is select your occupation. Now, there are a ton in here. I'm just going to say pick one out of the pulp book. They say you can find more in the investigator manual, but like there's tons in here, so I trust you guys will be able to find one. And when you find it, you can record your credit rating. Oh, wait. Make note of your credit rating of what you need, because it's a skill you need to purchase, and it needs to be in the range of your profession. Or your occupation. Sorry, I don't want to use the wrong nomenclature.
Okay, wait. So what are we choosing? Sorry, can I have a trait now?
No, you're choosing your occupation. So pick an occupation.
Oh, your occupation. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Right. I'll pick the one that's closest, I guess.
What are you thinking? Stage actor? For yours, Jeff?
Yeah. Or there's entertainer.
Okay. Yep.
Which might make sense. I'll look at the stage. I was going to check the.
Oh, I saw musician and read it as magician. Reading is key, Madison. Reading is very important. Gary, are you going with stage actor?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. What do George? What is Nick going with?
A spy.
Spy. And then Sean, what are you thinking?
At the moment, between probably an exorcist. I was maybe a boxer, but given the rest of his his physical, but I think exorcist is the best.
You will have two sources, three sources of skill points after this. You're going to have your occupation points, and in your occupation, I believe all of them give you at least one specialty, so you'll be able to pick one skill beyond what's listed for the occupation as a personal specialty. Then you will also get your archetype points. That's like 100 points of skill points that you'll also get to spend on a certain list of skills related to your archetype. Then you will also get personal interest points and be able to spend those, and those are, I believe, on either occupation skills or non-occupation skills, whichever. So that's, I mean, if you want, I mention that only because if you're going to play a boxer and there's not like hand-to-hand brawling or whatever as one of the skills listed on there, you could add it as a specialty skill, or you could pick up those points in your archetype, or you could pick them up as part of your personal interest points.
Cool. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with exorcist. So.
Okay, so everyone's got their occupation selected. Then we move on to your occupation skills. Now, your credit rating begins at 0, and you need to. How do you do this here? You got to come from your skill points at some point. So just be aware of the range that your credit rating needs to be in for your occupation. And then each of your occupations will tell you how you calculate how many skill points you get to assign to your occupation skills. So for instance, the stage actor, education times 2 plus your appearance times 2. That's how many points you get to spend on the skills listed under your occupation. And you have to have, at the end of the day, this can come from your occupation, your archetype, or your personal interest. Your credit rating needs to be in a range of 9 to 40. And I think you said you were broke, so your credit rating is probably going to be at the lower end of that spectrum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're picking our own credit rating. Is that right? Just pick it in the range?
It's purchased just like you purchase it just like a skill from your skill points. It can come from any of the different bundles of skills you got. It just needs to be in that range at the end of the day. So, everyone clear how you calculate your occupation skill points?
Yes.
Go ahead and calculate those and spend those.
And that includes credit.
It can, again, you can spend your points from your occupation skills, or you can spend your points from your archetype skills, or you can spend your points from personal interests to get that credit rating up. But it's at the end of the day, the credit rating needs to be in that range. Credit rating is actual, there's a reason they've got it as a percentage. It's not just like purchasing stuff. It's if you want to give the display of having wealth, your credit rating score tells you how you're able to do that. If you want to impress a bank manager and get access to someone's records or whatever, then that it will be a credit rating score that you'd be rolling. If you go to low credit rating, they're looking at your shoes and be like, man, those are shabby. And they're noticing that your suit hasn't been rehemmed in some time. And they're, whatever. They're noticing that, there's some dirt lines around your collar. Or the reverse if you happen to have a really good credit rating.
So, for example, for psychometry as a skill, I just put that in the additional skills section and do it from there. Okay, great.
Yeah. I think you're the only psychic.
Oh,
Gary,
that's not good.
You were thinking of being one. Did you change your mind? You're gonna.
I think I'll pass for that. For now, no psychics for me.
Okay, that's fair.
I mean, because it kind of fits a little bit with, it could. It's Exorcist. That's there's plenty of nonsense right there to play with.
You don't need, one in the group. It'll be plenty. They're not, having read through the adventure, they're not wrong that you don't need it. Every type of character is going to have some useful role to play, in the game, for sure. So I don't want.
And the max. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I don't say that to dissuade you, Sean. Like, if you do want to play a second character, by all means, go ahead and if something sounds cool, because there will be ways that will be cool, but equally there will be ways for a guy who just beats heads, to be cool as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Jeff.
What do I add a specific fighting skill? Like, let's say if I'm going to use like a dagger or something like that.
Let's hear. That is listed
because it says at the bottom, any two other skills as personal or era specialties.
Yeah. So whatever you want to add in there.
Right, but so if I want to be able to fight with a knife, then like knife fighting is like. Is that what it's called?
It's called. It's in the.
I just don't want to put the wrong thing on there.
No, it's called fighting. Fighting brawl. Remember that some of your, I think it lists on the character sheets already, but a lot of your skills will start above 0.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
So it's brawl.
It's brawl.
Would be
brawl covers unarmed fighting techniques and basic weapons like clubs, knives, and improvised weapons like bottles and chair legs.
Okay.
It may not shock you to learn that I've got stats for a wide variety of things that you can hit people or unknowable eldritch entities. That's one.
That's shocking.
Okay.
And then I was gonna just ask in the same vein, the maximum amount that you can add is what gets you to 95, a total of 95 on a skill.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Cthulhu?
Let's see here.
I think that's what I read, but now it's been a couple days.
No, and it's worth double checking as well. Let's see, where are we here? Okay, here we go. The same recommendation they had in the other one. There is no cap on the number of points that can be invested into a skill, although the players are advised that a hero with a variety of skills in the 40 to 80% range, rather than only having 3 or 4 at 90 to 100, is liable to be more useful in the game, as their breadth of ability means they won't become one-trick ponies. So you can, get your skills all the way up to 100.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Just that it, it is not always helpful. And remember that at some point you need to get your credit rating up to from 0 to whatever your range of your occupation is.
Okay,
Right.
Kev, for mine, it says I should add an art/craft.
Yep.
Example, acting, singing, comedian for my actual occupation.
Yep.
So what should I just put, even though I'm like the assistant, should I just put like magician or
Yeah,
what?
that works. So, and you can add it under art craft. You can click on plus.
Yeah.
Any of those expandable skills, they will add on for you.
Right.
Yeah. However,
okay.
you think it makes sense to best describe what you did.
Yeah.
Magician's
I'll put
assistant.
magician and, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay.
And now I spend all my points on these things.
Yes, on those skills. Feel free. There should be little tick marks next to the things
Oh,
that we're
that
gonna.
they're
Yeah, we're gonna use those in game to when you make use of them. But if you want to use that to tag easily and see which ones are part of your occupation, go nuts. We're gonna speak. We'll remember to clear those ticks out before we play.
And just to be 100% clear, the points we calculated from our profession can only be spent on things listed under the skills of that profession.
Exactly.
The additional 100 bonus can be used under our archetypes section of where it lists
so that's
what
what
the
I'm saying.
skills
Well,
are.
you do your occupation first, then we'll go to your archetype and spend that 100, and then we will go to your personal interests and spend those points.
Right. So I've done my occupation.
Occupation. Okay, so then you can turn to your archetype, and there's the new restricted list there for Thrill Seeker. Go ahead and spend 100 points between those. And go ahead and select your trait while you're at it. Trait doesn't really have any specific mechanical benefit. It's sort of just like it's in the way that the game describes it. It's more of like a descriptor, but I'll probably make use of it as a way of judging when you should get a bonus on something. If a trait might come into play, I'll probably allow you to roll with a bonus. The limited amount of playing I've got or play experience with 7th, I find that when I am making you make dice rolls, more often than not, it's better to allow you to make the roll with a bonus.
Yeah.
So let's see. So it was 100 on the archetype. And what was the next one? Just so I get, what's the scope of it? What's the next one you get?
Then
points
it'll
for?
be your intelligence times 2 for personal interest points. And it's anything other. Oh, and I didn't. If I didn't mention this, I know I didn't mention this, but you cannot. The only skill you cannot spend any points on is Cthulhu Mythos. Cthulhu Mythos is only learned by exposure to the Cthulhu Mythos, be it through books or through study or whatever. And there is a corresponding loss in your maximum sanity. The more you learn about the true workings of the universe, the more your mind is close to not functioning the way that the vast majority of individuals' minds function. Occult, however, you got no restriction on, and occult can be quite helpful, particularly in this kind of like spiritualism, theosophist-focused kind of campaign.
Cool.
That will help you identify the horrific, terrible, formless creature.
I spent my occupation skill points.
Okay.
What was next? Sorry,
Next up is your archetype. You have 100 points. Go to your archetype, Jeff. Then you have 100 points to spend on the skills that are listed there, and then you also select one trait.
Okay.
Okay.
So, rogue. Okay, 100 points for these.
Yeah, and your archetype, it says that you need to make sure you spend points for your psychic powers from archetype.
And
wait, how many traits do we have?
One. Just select one.
One trait. Okay.
It's sort of a good descriptor of your character.
That any of those 3 sources of points can be spent on credit rating. Was that correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So long as it ends up at the appropriate level afterwards.
Oh, what?
Gotcha.
We're gonna get more points from something else, too?
Yeah, you'll also get 2 times your intelligence as personal interest points that you'll be able to spend on anything.
Okay. Yeah.
Except for Cthulhu Mythos. Again, that's only through madness. Oh, that's one neat thing with Pulp Cthulhu. You can read tomes, the Mythos tomes, much faster. There's 2 sort of like, you briefly read and get some information and lose some sanity, or you take a long time studying them and you lose more sanity, you learn more. That's how you increase psychic powers. That's how you learn spells in the game. And it's in Pulp Cthulhu, they recommend that like at most one day. Like one evening of reading through the book, and you'll get the content. So it's a little faster paced, more punching in face, less studying at the library. Sometimes both.
And what
at
is
once.
a good skill? What is it like? 50 means you have a 50% chance of doing it.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
When it says fighting parenthesis any, that could be brawling then.
Yep.
Could it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Just making sure.
Fighting brawl should be on there because it has a starting point of 25.
It is. I just want to make sure because it says brawl and then the next line down says fighting skill 1. I wanted to make sure it wasn't making a distinction between brawling and other fighting skills.
It is because like each of those is a separate skill. Each different kind of fighting thing is a different skill. So like if you want to make use of a sword, that will be a different. So like here's the fighting specialties or specializations: axe, brawl, chainsaw, flail, garrote, spear, sword, whip.
Okay.
So
Are some skills not listed?
they shouldn't be. No, all skills should be listed there.
Do you know where I don't see read lips?
Is read lips? Let's see. It's not just hidden.
It's under the rogue list.
Let's see.
I thought it's kind of an interesting one for a magician.
Why is that not on there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't know where to put it, I guess.
I mean, you can add it as an additional skill at the bottom.
Oh, there. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. But it should be.
Okay, cool.
Oh, now that's interesting. Hold on. Is that one of the new pulp skills? Because it's not listed.
That's what I'm guessing.
Yeah. So computer use, hypnosis. No, read lips is not listed as a new thing. Medicine, psychoanalysis. Where is it here? Rogue. All right. Yeah, that is weird. There isn't an actual skill called read lips in either pulp stuff or... Oh, here it is. Read lips is a 1% uncommon skill. So yeah, yes, you add it in. The reason it's not listed on there is because it's an uncommon skill. Not everyone can.
And what
do
does the 1% mean?
it. It starts at 1%.
Oh, so okay.
Yep.
Really? It starts at a 1? Okay, so then I
The good news is you get some free points in it.
It's
I
free.
got a
Yeah,
free
The bad
one.
news is it's
Good.
1 point.
I got 1 point. It's good. Look, it's meaningful to me.
Heck
there
yeah.
you go.
Okay. So are we all on to archetypes right now?
Yes.
I need to pick a trait. Yeah.
Okay. Gary, how you doing? Unless your first
Well,
character.
I was wondering, is there a tally on the character sheet that
Nope.
shows you how many points you've
You
been
need
using?
to keep track of that as you're spending.
Okay. And I have been. That's why I'm a little
Okay.
bit slower. Sorry.
Yep. No problem. Okay, and then once you're finished with your occupation, then do 100 points into your archetype skills. And then once you guys are finished that, you can multiply your intelligence times 2 and add that number of skill points to any of your skills, except for Cthulhu Mythos.
Where are the the traits? You just pick something.
Yep, just pick something from your archetype. And if there's something...
like one of the listed ones?
Yes.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah. Or something thematic. I mean, if you've got something else in mind, the lists give you an example of kind of what they should be like. Like, for instance, the Thrill Seeker, Daredevil, Risk Taker, Manic, Exhibitionist, Braggart, Troublemaker. Can't imagine why you want to play that character, George. That's...
Well, I chose Risk Taker as my trait.
Awesome.
So,
And for the rogue is charming, disarming, self-absorbed, crafty, shrewd, or scheming. All right. So, once those are finished, then we will talk about backstories for the characters, and that will help give us some... we'll have each of you start with one contact as well, which I believe comes from your occupation. Or at least the suggested ones come from your occupation. Someone you can call on for support or additional information or whatever.
where? Oh, the trait goes in the backstory. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a spot for it on the right, in the right column, about 3 down.
Does sly work?
Sly, like your slide.
Yeah.
One of the players in Discord, I saw it posted, and he posted a photo. I only saw the notification. It says one of my players being a bit of a baby, and then you go to it, and it's his. It must be their son or daughter who's holding a copy of it. Well played.
Nice.
Oh man.
Okay, so we got our trait, and then the last thing you're saying is our intelligence times 2 of like personal development points.
Correct, and that's any skills you like other than Cthulhu Mythos.
Right.
As you guys fall asleep tonight, your head hits the pillow. What you'll hear is other than Cthulhu Mythos. So once those points are all spent, then does your occupation? No. For starting gear, this game really doesn't, isn't super concerned with your encumbrance and stuff like that. What I would like to roll though is we will, once everyone's caught up, we'll roll your treasured possession. So I think that'll be fun. And we can roll significant Oh, this is all the backstory stuff. What am I talking about? We'll do that because it's part of this. It's one of the steps to go through here.
Cool.
Okay. Oh, got your cash on hand here too. Love it. Okay. And then how are these characters coming together, guys? Are you seeing the person that you had in your mind as you're going through? I will say characters will advance, just like even though it doesn't look like it, your characters are starting characters, and they will change and get better at their skills over the course of play. This game, again, if you use the skill successfully, you get to put a little check mark on there, and then you get to roll to see if you can improve them at the end of I believe it's the end of the adventure, not the end of the session, but I'll double check that. I want to cheat you guys. I'm not super concerned if you get your skills up a little bit. In order to have them go up, you need to fail a roll for advancement. So it mitigates in favor of low attributes going up quickly, or low skills going up quickly, and really good stuff going up rarely. If we were playing Rune Quest, you could set aside time to actually develop those things, but I still have yet to get my head through that game, so...
I think I have done all my points.
Can't.
Yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Sean and Gary, how are you guys doing?
I might have to circle back at some point in the future to do some math.
Oh, no rush in this whatsoever. Absolutely take your time. This is the fun of making these kind of characters, right? Is making these deliberate, decisions of what skills are getting what. One thing I should have mentioned from the outset: the skills that are also classically important in Call of Cthulhu are spot hidden and library use. That is less true in Pulp Cthulhu and less true in this campaign, but those two are ones that will regularly see use. Library use is what you roll for looking through records or whatever else, city halls plans, or I keep thinking of that scene from Chinatown where Jake Gittes goes to the Hall of Records, and he's looking through stuff and seeing about that. That is a classic Call of Cthulhu kind of thing. It's also a pretty Pulp Cthulhu thing.
Okay, so did you say library use might be a little less useful in this campaign?
It's still, it will be a way of, it will still be a way, no, it's still quite important in the game. It's just not quite as, the vast majority of what you do in Call of Cthulhu Adventures is largely like talk to people or look through records or try and spot shit. And in this, there's a little more leeway. If you are good at it, like anything else, it will mean that you're even better at stuff. Like, you may be able to find things in records that others will not. One of the things they did in 7th edition and expressly called out is the issue that, that basically like led to the gumshoe system, to Trail of Cthulhu and whatnot. They were complaining that, like, why do you gate advancing the story behind dice rolls? And I don't think that was ever the intent of Call of Cthulhu, but that was the way I think some people played it. And what they say is that there are obvious clues and non-obvious clues. So if you guys interrogate the environment you're in, you may automatically find some stuff, or I might make you make a roll for it. If it's obvious stuff like there's a book on a shelf, then I'm probably not going to make you roll for it for your library use. But if it's noticing something in the midst of text, then a successful library use roll will notice, like, hey, look at this. And then if you get better successes with it, likewise, it kind of increases the amount of good stuff you'll get.
That's cool. Like degrees of success. Like, okay, you would have spotted it no matter what, but if you make a really great spot check, on top of that, you would additionally figure out X, Y, or spot X, Y, or Z.
Like they get that it's like it is important for, if you've put points into it, to have that reflected in the gameplay, because if your character's awesome at something, they should be able to see that reflected in the course of the fiction. But at the same time, the game is about you solving mysteries, and if you if the person with a really kick-ass library use roll has cold dice, then at the very least to be able to get some stuff. And there's other neat things you can do, like with pushing rolls in this. I fucking love that mechanic. It's a lot of fun. We had it in our one shot we played, one of the like done in one. It was our double feature session, actually. We saw the pushing in. You're not allowed to push in combat, but we let them do it, and it was extremely tense. It was really, really good. And what pushing is if you fail on a roll and it's not in combat, you can choose to roll again, but if you fail a second time, something bad happens. Usually involving some kind of eldritch creature that is formless yet also has forms and tentacles. Yeah,
yep.
That's two uses. Exactly.
Oh yeah, good call.
So we got trains, we got that. Sean, how is your character coming together?
Pretty much done. I'm just finishing up the last point pool.
Okay. So maybe why don't we? So people aren't sitting around just watching. The players are not sitting around just watching. Why don't we start on Nick and Lady Avery's backstory?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll go back and forth. We'll do like Nick, then Lady Avery, then Nick for each of these things. So first off, personal descriptions. Do you guys have Nick? Do you have an idea for your personal description in mind?
Yeah, I'm looking at this list now. I literally my go-to is to like do a Google image search, which I did.
Oh, fantastic! Do you have an image of your character in already?
I didn't put it in. I didn't know when it was appropriate to do it.
Go ahead. Whatever you like.
It's you'll see what it is when it comes. Take me a second to get it uploaded.
Yeah, because I'm going to use.
So I can go to Jeff.
Let me, Jeff. Do you have an idea? And I see you've loaded an image as well.
I have loaded an image.
Nice. So let me start dragging some tokens over then. Because I do like having those out. All right, so here's Lady Avery. Nice. She's a tamale.
Yeah.
In the vernacular of the time. Okay. And let's see here. What
I imagine, because her size is quite large, I imagine that she's quite a tall woman.
Okay.
And as you can see, physically endowed. Nicely.
Okay. Yeah. And let's see here. Nick.
It's large.
Mine should be there now.
Yep.
Oh, yeah,
very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
There we go.
That was like shot from that movie that kind of looks spy-ish in terms of the, his handgun, etc. It kind of had that.
Yeah.
Not the kind of messy, sloppy version that you see in the movie most of the time.
Okay. Let me set you guys up here. So nameplate, and then your hit points. Let's see here. Here you go. And your sanity. Sanity will be green. And if you've got... and luck will be blue.
Okay.
Okay. And luck. Let me make sure everyone can see these. Edit, visible to everyone. Edit, visible to everyone. And I was so on the ball, I actually set up the tokens to be displaying the way I want. Oh, your luck. What is your luck? Oh, hold on.
You have 95 sanity, George?
Yeah.
Nice.
Because my power.
Yeah, because power is your characteristic for your character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Don't worry, we'll take care of that.
I knew I needed to get a good roll on that because it's gonna be bad news really quickly.
Okay, let's see here. And there we go. So red will be your hit points. There we go. Oh, current hit points 25. You are tough. Blue we said would be luck. I'm setting luck at a maximum of 99 as well, so it'll look like.
So can you go over your maximum?
Oh yeah,
luck
like your luck
recovery?
fluctuates
Okay.
throughout. Thing you just can't go over. I don't believe it can go over 99.
Okay, cool.
I have quite a few hit points, actually. It's funny. That's because of my size. I'm a wimp. I have a 25 strength, which is like half a normal human. I'm dainty, but I'm...
But you know how to use your mass,
Yeah.
so you don't get hurt. Which you would need to do if you were a magician's assistant.
Exactly.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
Okay, outstanding casting choice. I just finished watching Hot Fuzz again last weekend, I guess. Because of that show, I can't refer to a supermarket as anything other than a supermarché. Okay, let's see here. Your hit points. How are you doing for skills there, Gary?
I'm doing awful. Because I started I changed them, and then I was like, well, do I add 10 more? But I don't even know what I started at. So now I'm like, okay, should I compare it to a blank character sheet? And then
you can find in the
anyway.
Keeper's Handbook, if you look at the character sheet in the Keeper's Hand, or the Investigator's Handbook, it'll have the starting points. And I think there's a Pulp character sheet, I think, in the Pulp PDF. That tells.
There's also on page 56 of the Pulp Cthulhu book, there is a list of all the skills and what their starting values are.
Oh, perfect.
Even the on the bench character sheets have them, so that was kind of, I'll just do a comparison. But I'm like, it's not going well. Obviously, I gotta do some.
This is how insidious the game is. It wants you to spend so much time and effort making this character that when they go insane or die, you really feel it.
Yep.
Right.
Okay. Do you have a name for your character, Gary?
Sure. Yeah, I thought of that earlier. Addison Lockhart.
Nice.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a stage name?
Wait,
or
the Addison
your real
Lockhart?
name? Yeah, exactly.
Is there an Addison Lockhart?
There is now.
That's right. No, yeah.
Okay. Go.
The one-time famous Broadway actor.
There we are. Hold on, is everyone? Yep. Great. Okay. Is it Finn Fiegel or Finn Feigl?
Fiegel.
Fiegel, okay.
And Feigl might get a little of the business.
Yeah.
Anything says Feigl.
Okay.
Good to know.
All right, so then, so that was Nick's. We got
be called for.
the appearances from each character is well set now. What about ideology or beliefs? Lady Avery, you got something in mind for ideology or beliefs?
What page is that, Kevin? Or do you
Page
wanna-
39 of the Pulp Cthulhu book.
Nice.
I'm kind of just leaning towards that. Currently, I don't trust anyone.
Okay.
The one person I trusted is missing.
Okay. What about Nick?
That's excuse me, a great question. Jeff, you just said you don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
And that was going to be mine, so that's what I'm. I don't want everybody not to trust anybody.
I don't trust anyone. I don't trust anyone. Do we just become best
I
friends?
certainly don't trust you now.
Exactly. It's going to devolve quickly.
There are worse things
so-
to steal from than stepbrothers, as the way that you guys meet up.
Yeah, but there's also different levels of trust. Like as far as like being able to work with someone or trusting someone with like your true self or your feelings or your like, you know,
Absolutely.
there's different levels of not
Yeah.
trusting people.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, totally. I think I'm going to go with a take on my destiny is already decided. I'm just following along, not in a passive sense of that word, but meaning like I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to jump across this building. My destiny's already determined. I'm just going to go. And if I'm supposed to die now, I do.
Okay.
And if I'm supposed to make it, I will. So I'm gonna go with
Perfect. Okay. Gary, you got an idea in mind for ideology or belief of
Don't touch
Addison?
me. I'm special.
What's that?
Don't touch me. Don't touch me. I'm special.
It's-
Wait, you're an actor? I've never heard that before. The second part. The second part.
Oh man, Sean, how is it going on your end? Are you ready to start talking about backstory, or are you still spending?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. So,
Nope, I'm good.
do you have a picture in mind for Finn?
I'm working on the picture. Good
Okay.
call. But my ideology is going to be you got to have faith, brother. So
Nice.
he's got his own little weird.
Love it.
So he's religious in his own way. Like he's not. He's very offbeat. You know, gotta have faith. Like what? You know, as you're beating someone, kind of a thing. You know, gotta.
Okay. The next is significant people. Let's see. Pick one from each of the two lists before. So, it's so who they are and why they are important to you. So let's go reverse order. Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Pick who is a significant person to Finn and why are they important to them? This may have been a poor idea to go reverse order because I'm making you making two choices back to back. Why don't we go start with
the pressure on.
Yeah. Jeff, you have one in mind?
Yeah, I mean, to me, obviously, I think that the most obvious answer is the magician, which I have not given them a name yet, but I will come up with like the name of the magician that has gone missing.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that the reason that they're significant to me is they've set me up. Like I've ended up setting my credit rating to like the max that I could, which is 70. So I'm fairly well off. So I'm doing good financially, and I owe that all to, you know, Houdini or whoever it was that I was working for, who was a
Was there a
talented...
significant age difference between yourself and your magician?
Yeah, maybe. Like, so, you know, I would have started out as sort of their sidekick or whatever.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they were like they may have gone missing for whatever reason, but I'm wondering if they were successful. Then perhaps it's later in their career when you were brought in.
Yeah. And I think maybe there would have been like, you know, your typical two people traveling together, working together, like love interest, but it's like the age difference maybe at the time made it a little awkward to maybe one was in love with the other, but it wasn't reciprocal. So either like he saw me as his daughter or I saw him as too much like my father or whatever it was, where it was a little too weird.
Yeah.
But there was like sort of a missed love interest there as well.
Okay.
So I'm going to come up with a name for this magician yet, but I don't know.
What about Nick? Who's the significant person to him, and why are they significant?
So what I'm thinking is that it was that he was in the military during World War One, and saw combat, and combat, camaraderie that develops among people in the service. He had one particular friend that he developed, and I think I'm just spitballing this, but they had some kind of, obviously with complete hell to begin with, so
yeah.
Of course. But then I think that the two of them had some kind of insane Cthulhu type encounter.
Okay.
In the midst of all of this, so in some random battlefield somewhere, and it was only the two of them who were like sneaking out to like do something fun for once, to relieve stress, and then they got, they drink, whatever they were doing.
What if it's a Herbert West-esque, encounter? Because I believe Herbert West, I believe, like canonically, some of his stuff was done during the First World War, wasn't it?
Oh, I think that's right. Yes. Exactly, and I think his, that's what somehow awoken cause. He's not sure this, power of psychometry that he's developed, but also I'm not sure how that all works out, but at least this is what he thinks happened anyway.
Yeah,
and then that best friend of his was not there anymore. Like part of his clothes were there. Like when he woke up and whatever happened to him, his friend has been missing this whole time. So now 17 years later, or whatever it is, he still thinks that his friend is alive somewhere, and this is what he wants to try to find him. And it's always in the back of his mind. It's not like every day he's trying to.
I imagine there's a keepsake. If he's a psychometrist, having a keepsake is it's more than just a memento. It's having that vision of where he was, right?
So maybe he has something from his uniform. So I don't think they had dog tags in World War I, but something I may be wrong, but because I don't know enough about it. But I think he had something from his uniform, or a photo that he always carried around with him, or something that was left behind in the aftermath of whatever event transpired that night. So it's kind of like a Mulder situation. Yeah, like he's still dealing with other things. But once in a while, it comes up that maybe he can find his. So
one of the other interesting things that the new edition does is that when you have periods of like extended periods of insanity, you actually change elements of the backstory. So you're like, oh, now I realize that I thought it was this. It's actually this.
That's very cool.
It's really neat. It's a really neat idea for making productive use out of what is sort of like, timeout.
Great. Okay, cool. That works out really well because I think he doesn't really know the answers. So, or he thinks whatever he thinks he knows he may not know the answer to. Okay. So as it changes, that's what I think keeping him kind of off kilter all the time. So I don't know what I really saw, what really happened to me. Yeah. I just know that now I'm like this.
Love it. Okay.
Okay, cool.
And then Gary, what about Addison? Who was his most significant person, and why are they significant to him?
Well, I've already assumed that Addison is going to die at some point, and my backup character is his
well,
little
we're all
kid
going to die.
sister.
I meant soon, so did I.
My thought is his backup character is his kid sister as a sidekick.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So if that happens, his significant person is his kid sister that is in town, but is a bit of a just vagabond kid that crashes at his place every now and again.
Yeah, living on his largesse.
Yeah.
Nice. Or what was his largesse at some point. Excellent. And then, Sean, what about Finn? Who's his most significant person and why?
It is the person that taught me exorcism. So there was another guy, similar, Jake.
Yep.
And Jake taught me the ropes of pulling that evil out of people.
Yeah.
So to speak.
And is Jake still around?
I think.
Or is he like the others? He's sort of, we don't know where he is right now.
I think maybe there's a mystery there. I don't think I know. I think, you know what it kind of is like? It's like the comparison would be Roadhouse. So it's the old guy, so it's Patrick Swayze's mentor.
Okay.
So it's, the old guy that has the bad knee. And in this case, I got a bad knee, but so, he can call that guy. And so, and so the guy says, "You okay, kid? Everything good down there?" That kind of a like, relationship. So.
Nice. So is he in New York as well, or is he off elsewhere?
I think he was, but the thing is, almost like the Roadhouse movie, I mean, you don't know where the next exorcism is going to be.
Yep.
So he could be, he's got a job in Jersey. I mean,
okay. I think last you heard then he was sailing for something in the South China Sea.
Okay.
And if you think that is just for an excuse for me to justify my Cults of Cthulhu book as a next thing for this campaign, then I'd say you know me pretty well.
Nice.
So, all right. So the next thing is treasured possessions. So, Lady Avery, do you want to select one, or would you like to roll?
Let's roll. I always like
I knew you would. It's Jeff, so of course you're going to roll.
Yeah.
Let's see what you got.
What is it, a D10?
A D10, please, yeah.
1D10.
6. Your collection, what is it? Is it matchbooks, jewelry, cigarette cards?
Ooh.
So your treasured possession is your collection of something. I'll let you think about that, and you can tell us what it is in a moment. Nick, would you like to select, or you want to roll?
Sorry, but I had a small person who distracted me for 1 second.
That is quite right. We're doing treasured possession. Do you want to select one, or do you want to roll?
Well, I did. I did some research in the couple minutes here between the last time I was talking with you, and there were ID tags in World War I. In fact, apparently goes back to much earlier than that.
Okay.
So that's going to be, and I found a cool image of one of them, and it's like, it almost looks like a Cthulhu tag, like the way they're like round on like a lanyard kind of a thing. Like,
oh yeah,
they're very cool. Like
in
it looks like
what do you call
moons
it?
On it, but
Boardwalk Empire, because they had World War I vets
That's right.
play a big
Yes.
role in that. So yeah.
Yes. And so it actually looks really cool. So it's going to be that. And I'm not just
Cool.
coming up with a name. I know
Okay.
my friend's name, but I think his name is Marcus Boggs. So let's go with that. Marcus Boggs is
Okay.
it's the friend who's lost.
And for Addison, do you want to select, or would you like to roll?
I was thinking that maybe him and his kid sister have matching rings. If that works out somehow of some significance. Almost like a secret decoder ring between the two of them.
Would it be? I mean, given their circumstance, their back, or what you described as backstory before, I imagine it's not something that's like an heirloom, but perhaps it was like at the height of his fame, something that they bought for one another.
Yeah, and now they use it as a touch point of what could have been or what was.
Yeah. Says a lot that he hasn't pawned it by now too, if he's on hard times.
Or maybe he has on a few different occasions, but always managed to get it back.
That's great.
That's great.
That's great. All right, and then what about Finn? Does he wish to select, or does he wish to roll?
I think I'm going to go. I think I'm going to go straight up stereotype that I think it's I think it's what Jake gave him one thing, like when he graduated, so-called. And when they worked a job together. Oh, he always used to work with Jake. So he was a sidekick, basically, of Jake's. And then he took off on his own, right? And so when that happened, Jake handed him like what Finn thought was Jake's prized possession. And to Jake, like, he doesn't hang on to anything. But to Finn, he's like, you can't give me that. And Jake's like, you will, and I'll not hear another word about it. Like this kind of, in fact, almost from like Game of Thrones when he gave Jon Snow the family sword, and he says, this is, I can't remember the name of that steel, but this is so-and-so steel.
Yeah.
He says, it's been in my family for 700 years or whatever, 70,000 years.
Oh, yeah, the Valyrian steel.
Yeah,
sword.
Valyrian.
Yeah.
And then Jon says, I can't take this. Oh, you will. And I'll not hear another word about it. This kind of and it's brass knuckles. He gave him his brass knuckles.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Cool. Those brass knuckles are made of Valyrian steel, right? That's.
I'm assuming. I mean, come on. After my big presentation, I mean, come on.
Then the last thing is we're going to skip traits because I think you guys already picked them for the characters. But let's talk about your contact. Take a look at your occupation and select a contact.
So there's an opportunity here, Kev, to help to offer this up to help with the adventure itself, or I can select one. So my suggested contact under spy is generally the only person the spy reports to, which I don't report to a specific organization, government or organization, but maybe to somebody else. So I don't know if there's a connecting point.
It probably
or I can make something up.
in here. Not so much. Like what the context are, I understand them to be for is it's a way for you to. It's kind of like bonds in Delta Green, where it's a way of you. It's your touch point for stability. One of the things the rules say is that your contacts, because you can recover sanity by spending time with them. I'm actually not allowed to hurt them without giving you a chance to save them.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it expresses says it's
cool.
kind of like dependent NPCs in Champions or Hero system. So
that's great. Well, it does. The other option it mentions is another connection developed while undercover. So I think I will, choose a rival spy, a spy from a rival organization at the. So there were
not to
the
play
Navy and the Army.
Yeah, it's still too much of a stereotype here, but like the German government is extremely involved in domestic politics in the U.S. at present.
We are on the same page, so that's
awesome.
exactly what I. So it's like we had a connection, and like it became like. I'm not saying it was a romance, but like it became a personal connection that if outside of this, if we weren't both on the wrong side.
Here's how we say goodbye in Austria. And here's how we say goodbye in Germany.
That's right. Exactly. So I think that's something I'll come up with a good name for her. But
that's awesome.
I think that'll be my point of contact.
This is a bit a total non sequitur, but the actress who played Elsa in Last Crusade, I don't know if you've watched that. There's a Bollywood film like RRR.
Literally, it's not next on my queue.
She's in that.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah. She's the wife of what's his name of Titus Polo's character actor.
She was really good being evil.
She's fantastic.
Oh, awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I will maybe watch it later tonight.
Yeah. It's very, very, very enjoyable film. Or at least
it's
I
directed to
enjoyed
me
the
as
shit
something
out of it.
enjoyable that I would enjoy. There's the exact word. So,
Nice.
Yeah.
So then that is your contact, Lady Avery or Addison or Finn. Have you any ideas for who your connection is going to be or contact?
I mean, mine will be the classic. So it'll be I need a contact in the church. So I get business from from a particular, I don't know, maybe a bishop. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, and I'm totally open to whatever.
Yeah, I think if it's depending on how high up you want to be, I believe that New York has a cardinal because it's a big enough place. I'll double check that, but I've watched enough media where there's
I'm from New York.
George will
from
fucking
New York
know.
and
Yeah.
Catholic. I'm Catholic, or grew up Catholic anyway, and that is true.
Excellent.
Yeah. I think that would probably be more fun. That I get deals from from the cardinal basically, or at least the cardinal's guy. Whatever. Like his. Whether I get to meet with the cardinal or not is doubtful, but that I get his guy says, Cardinal so-and-so. Is this from the Cardinal? Yeah, sure it is. Maybe he goes like that or something. Yeah, Cardinal.
Yeah, that would also explain why you'd be able to be quite so, freewheeling with your activities as well. Is that you're getting it from a pretty high, high-ranked person in the church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Addison or Lady Avery?
I was thinking maybe at the height of my career, I had a producer that I really relied upon, and I still go back from time to time, slinking back, going, "Hey, do you have a role? No. Well, how about some money? Well, how about how about a connection?" And then that's maybe how I got involved with the Open Mind group. Is maybe somehow that.
Okay. Yeah.
Could have happened.
I from the limited knowledge I have of theater producers, I would. And how superstitious that Broadway producers may be, I can understand how they may fall in with the supernatural in in the 1930s. So definitely cool. And then and for these ones, you guys can feel free to add meat to these things. I'll make use of these characters in the thing, but you guys go nuts with with whoever these characters are. Lady Avery, who is your contact?
Well, one of the options was organized crime, and I decided on a name for the magician, the Brilliant Berdini.
Nice.
And so I was thinking he could be an Italian magician.
Okay.
Lady Avery is from London, so we hooked up at some point on his travels. Maybe he came through London, and I saw his show, and he saw something in me, and I joined him.
May I make a suggestion here?
Sure.
I think that through the brilliant Bendini, what'd you say?
Berdini. Yeah, Berdini.
Berdini. The brilliant Berdini and Addison knew one another. So you guys knew one another through, they were maybe old friends, and then when he disappeared or whatever else, this may have been how you guys fell in. Perhaps, you went to the open mind group, and then when you saw that Lady Avery was part of this, you're like, aha! So you guys have that connection.
Okay.
And so I was thinking that maybe he had some kind of connection to the, we're in the 30s in New York. The mafia makes perfect sense to be like,
I will have to tell you, like the actual historic 30s, there is no such thing as the mafia in Pulp Cthulhu.
Right, of course.
Yeah, so.
And, maybe it's sort of like, he had some contacts there, and it's like, he told them, look after Lady Avery or whatever. Like, so,
yeah,
they have a small hand in sort of making sure she's comfortable in the city.
Sure. Yeah. Love that.
And I decided on my collection. I know it's a little bit of a girly choice, but I'm going to go with a collection of like outfits / dresses. Like, you've never seen her in the same outfit twice.
That's fantastic. No,
like, every time she shows up, it's like something new.
Yep.
And she's got all these, outfits from their time performing.
And
traveling the world, right? Buying dresses everywhere she goes, kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Outstanding. All right. And then Finn, what are you thinking for your? Sorry. I think we got everybody then. Finn, do you have a photo for or an illustration for your character?
As I got distracted, I came up with a picture of Cardinal Francis McCloskey, but I still got to find one for myself. I'm distracted.
Not at all. All right. So I think then the last thing you got to do is buy some stuff, guys.
Nice.
So if you look on page 42 of Pulp Cthulhu, it'll tell you what you're starting off. Your cash is, how much you have in assets. Yeah, like what assets is your starting gear. And then equipment starts on page 254 of the thing. And I'm fine, like as we do with most things, like we can retroactively, if there's something you think that your character would have had, we don't need to waste a lot of time suffering over equipment lists. This isn't exactly like you guys aren't putting together a Force Recon kind of like SWAT team or something.
I know
like that.
you had to have just said this, but so credit rating 25. What does that do for me? Is that $25?
No, look on page 42.
42. Thank you.
It's like 5 times that number is your sort of cash on hand, roughly, and your 50 times that number is your.
Well,
500 times that number is your assets. Sorry.
Depends on which
if
level you're
wealthy.
at. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's only. Oh, okay. That's if you're wealthy,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You've been playing this character for precisely 2 hours. You're already like completely out of touch with the cost of milk.
Yeah. sorry. Yeah.
Oh
yeah. So I'm fairly wealthy.
Yep. Okay.
Hey, don't get cocky over there.
Hey,
All right, and then Finn,
this is New York. Money talks.
That's true.
Have you an illustration in mind or a picture? I only ask because then I can put together your token.
Oh, okay. What?
There we go. All right. Well, great. We're actually going to start playing tonight, guys. Pretty awesome. I'm glad I loaded everything. I will say that I think Finn, so let's talk about the connections that the other characters have to one another, apart from just being part of the Open Mind group together. So what is your, I guess one thing to help with that is, what are your respective ages?
Ooh.
Well, Sean, I want you to focus on getting a picture first.
Okay.
So I can get your token together.
Good call.
I saw the distracted looking like, ooh.
Yeah, exactly.
Part of being the keeper of secrets is being a merciless taskmaster. So.
Right.
I think mine's pretty easy to figure out based on being, serving in the First World War. So I would say he's probably 38.
Okay.
At this point.
Yeah. Because you have been like, America entered the Second World War in 16?
Yeah. Yeah, we waited the last possible.
In fairness, it was Europe's war, I guess, from your perspective.
Well, there's... Yeah. I'll leave it. Yes, I'll leave it at that.
Well,
yeah,
it's beyond the scope of this game to debate the merits and immorality of when America entered.
That's
yeah.
So, but I think 38 is a good number.
38, yeah. That puts you at 19. Actually, older than that.
20.
It's 1935, right?
1935. Yeah, May of 1935. May 8th. In particular, of 1935. I will say that is one of the things I sometimes feel constrained by pre-written adventures because, trying to keep things on the path and whatever else. The Cthulhu things I've run thus far from the newest edition, none of them have felt that way. They felt extremely liberating, and also having handouts and references and whatnot in the adventure to specific times that automatically link up properly. So you're not, wait, what did I say? No, so I meant 3 years, not 4 years. All that math is taken care of, so there's just a great internal consistency for each of these adventures, which is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Okay.
Lady Avery is 29.
29, okay. How about...
You're not sure if she's 29, if she says she's 29, if she's always been 29. You don't know.
Yeah, exactly. What about Addison?
He is perennially 39 right now.
How old actually are the guys? Because that has an effect on their move.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no, she really is 29.
Okay.
Or at least that's what I imagine now.
Is Addison 39?
Yeah.
Okay. Very depressing for that all of us are older than him, and he feels old, that he's over the hill. Actually, I think I can't remember how old you are, Gary, but I think he's
over
the
much
hill.
older.
Yeah. Okay. Sean, how goes
what
this?
do you guys think? Is 39 accurate for somebody that's an aging actor? I mean, men get more distinguished.
I think at that time,
right?
Depending on the role they're trying to play, right? Like if you got this is just
he's no longer the leading man.
Yeah, but a face like George Clooney's, it ages into just playing distinguished older dudes and whatnot. Same thing with Harrison Ford or whatnot. But pretty folks who are young, who age up, not always. They get a little more ghoulish than they do handsome sometimes. So perhaps that's the case with him. Maybe he just kept trying to play a young age, insisted on playing the leading roles. So like, man, no, you're segueing into character actor stuff. You're like, I'm a star. Perfect. Let's see what we got.
Yeah.
Excellent choice there, Finn. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for finding that. Now, Finn, how old are you?
Let's look at that picture and figure it out.
I think late 20s, early 30s.
Yeah, I agree.
For that. Probably late 20s, I think.
Yeah, 29?
No,
I don't
see any salt and pepper in that hair.
Yeah, true. 29.
29?
29.
There we go. Same age as Lady Avery.
Yes.
So then, how do we think that we've seen how the two entertainers met one another? What about Nick and Finn? How did you guys fall in with one another, or with the entertainer side of the party?
Let's see. So I've been doing. I mean, probably work. Although I'm up for other creative ways, and my work has been doing strange jobs for the church, that the church wants to be able to disavow. So, is there any chance that that would brush into Nick's activities?
I definitely think so. I think, post-war, as a spy, he's not reporting. He has no one to work for anymore in the government. So he's taking these jobs to use those skills, and especially taking ones that.
Maybe a church team.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
Like you got, I got you the work, or we just found each other on the same team all of a sudden.
Yeah, I would say that I probably often take jobs for them, but I also still, open to taking offers from other people.
What if you want to incorporate your to really strain probability of how you guys came into contact, because it's a pulp game, is perhaps your psychometry thing came into play and you encountered Finn when he was younger while investigating some kind of nefarious cult at the behest of the organization. You saw holy shit, maybe even the brass knuckles, those storied brass knuckles that were passed on from.
And maybe I was working. I could have still been working for Jake at that time too. That's a possibility. It was long enough ago that I was a sidekick with Jake, and maybe he knew. I don't know how far we want to take that, but maybe he knew you, and I met him. I met you through him. So whatever, something.
Okay.
Yeah. That sounds great. I love that.
What about crossover between the two? Do you think perhaps Lady Avery and her contacts in the underworld may have led to some knowledge of Finn?
I think I have a good idea for a connection with both of the characters.
Go ahead.
Like you said, Nick is missing somebody as well.
Correct.
So maybe somewhere at the open mind group, there's the equivalent of a missing persons board, or a missing persons file area or something, and we both have these files and we've maybe discussed them, and maybe there's some similarities to the disappearances or something that we've sort of formed a bit of a connection over the two people that we both believe they're still around somewhere, they're out there. We got to find them. We haven't given up hope, sort of thing.
When you started saying that, Jeff, I genuinely thought you were going to be like, is this the person you're looking for?
Yeah, totally. And also, since Berdini is Italian, he might have been a Catholic. So maybe there's also some connection that I would have with Finn, where I've talked to him, maybe through hey man, maybe through the church you could help me search for him. Maybe the church has some idea of what could have happened to him.
And perhaps his disappearance was something you guys looked into and just could not get any further with. You don't know what happened to him.
Right.
Because Finn, if you lapsed as you are, perhaps you guys first met one another while you were talking to the brilliant what is it, Berdini.
Yeah.
This is payback for every time you guys mispronounce my ridiculous D&D names.
Berdini was the one that disappeared, Jeff? The one that disappeared, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So perhaps that's someone that maybe your two respective mentors knew one another through that, the big, you may not go to church all the time, but perhaps Christmas and those important holidays. That's when you two were sort of aware of one another, and then as you got involved with the Open Mind Society, you were like, hey, I kind of, in the same way that sort of similar to how Addison and Lockhart, or Addison and Lady Avery did.
Yeah.
Okay. What about
probably? I think I feel bad too that we never found that guy. It's one of my white whales, and so when Lady Avery went, we're gonna find him. You gotta have faith, sister. We're gonna find him.
Okay. So someone, I will introduce one other contact for you that will be related to the campaign. And that
I'm sure you guys can all figure out at this point who my backup character is.
So the character, this is someone that one of you know. It is, you may have heard of him. It's the Great Cthulhu.
That sounds familiar. I can't
love that guy.
place
Well,
it.
I'm glad he's a friend of ours. I mean, it makes the game a lot easier.
Friend, maybe stretching it. Acquaintance, I think, perhaps. Passing associate. Yeah. So this is someone I think, Nick, because of you're the one who seems to have more of a connection outside of here, and you're the one who's psychic. This is someone named Dr. Yvonne Callisham. And let me show you the first of our terrific handouts. I will say the PDF for this is fucking awesome. It has, with a select tool and right click, you can save all of the images from it and save them into here. So it's very easy to set up stuff for any virtual tabletop. So well done, Chaosium. Thank you. Where is she here? This is Dr. Yvonne Callisham. And Dr. Callisham is a little bit younger than you, but she has become the director of a place called the Slater or Slaughter Institute for Parapsychological Studies. She was studying under someone named Dr. Nesbitt before, but you know her as a parapsychologist. And you also know her in sort of, or she's aware of you in a troubleshooting capacity. She is very inquisitive. I think she did some testing on you on your psychic abilities and the limits thereof. But also a quite business, as her haircut, the quite severe haircut belies. She's a very business and serious-minded woman as well. Okay. So that is someone that you have contact with, and that is I'll put it in the chat to the...
Right.
Parapsychological Estudios. There we go.
Right.
And that is incidentally located in the Catskills. It's not far off from Woodstock.
Oh.
Is where that is. Okay. Then I believe, has everyone grabbed the necessary gear they want to have on them?
No, I have not done that.
Okay. Go ahead and snag what gear.
Is there an actual list of things, or do we just make it up?
Nope, that's page 254, I believe.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, 254.
Okay.
And we can spend the cash, obviously, that our CR gave us.
Yes, for the assets. The assets are the things you have on hand. So those of you who are broke, you will unfortunately be reflected in your gear.
Because it had cash and then it had assets.
Cash is how much money you have on hand. Your assets is the stuff you've got.
Oh, got it. I see.
Yeah. So go ahead and spend that. And once you've done that, we'll take our mid-session break, and then we'll come back and see if we can't break these characters' minds. I mean, have a terrific time indulging in a really fun Call of Cthulhu adventure. Tomato, you know how it is.
Indeed.
All right. So, seeing these characters out the backside of the character creation, how do they compare to what you had in your mind? Did you feel like you could make the character that you had in mind for it, or did it shift as kind of outcome came?
I mean, I think I got a general gist, and then it shifted, which was fine. I mean, I'm good with that. That's he's more of a bruiser than I originally. But he's a good, he's a good combo because he's an interesting combo because he's a thumper, but he's also really good in library use, so he's kind of a weird, because he's, that's the job. So he's a cultist, he's a library use. He's got a strangely high psychology for a bruiser. Also
very, very good. I mean, he reads people well. That may be a reflection of his, he just knows people more so than his studies in the area, right?
Yep.
Cool. Well, the rest of you guys, how did the end result compare to what you had in mind?
I think it matched really well. It just fleshed him out more and took him in some different directions that I hadn't anticipated. That really made it an even better character.
Nice. That's also really great to hear. Oh, Gary, it's your first character in Call of Cthulhu.
That's right.
Yeah, it's yeah. I mean, interesting. I almost wonder if it, back into the D&D style, if you almost should roll your stats first and then figure out how it fits best for that. And not that mine were completely different, but when you have a kind of a mind of a character coming in, and then your stats are like, well, he's really strong. I don't know, an actor would be stronger. You kind of work with the story and make it happen, but. In retrospect, sometimes I go, well, maybe I should have just roll the stats first and then just see what made sense more to fit. But anyways, it'll be a fun character. You
nice.
Work with it.
And Jeffrey?
Yeah, I think it worked out. The only one that's again, I think sort of to like the randomness of the stats, just having her appearance be a little higher, I think would have been ideal. But other than that, I think it fit pretty good.
She may be an aging beauty at this point.
Yeah.
You should have seen her 10 years ago. Holy. I guess 10 years ago she would have been 15, so no, ignore me completely. Good Lord.
Yeah. Whoa.
Yeah. Well, she's 29, 19. She would have been 19.
Okay.
Still inappropriate, but yeah. Anyway, not unlawful.
Quick question about the equipment. So typically, like, what should if I only have $20 to spend, should I be going, you know what, I can buy a Derringer for $20? Or do I have to buy clothes for that $20?
It's all your assets. Let's see. Do they have your clothes? Will be.
They do. They have the clothes pretty granular.
Yeah.
Okay. And that comes off my asset total. And that comes off my asset total, and then the cash I have is just on hand. Like, in my
so
pocket.
if you're broke,
Gotcha.
you are really broke.
You're like super broke. I'm like doing my asset list. It's like Cadillac, 2 apartments.
Someone's bragging right now.
No, it's just funny the difference in riches of this game.
Well, and it's cool. I think like it's also because it's kind of like a skill that you'll be making use of. It's part of the character being wealthy, right? Like that's part of it's one of the special skills that you bring to the table.
It's pretty funny.
All right. Here's the upside, Gary. It's going to take you very little time to figure out what gear you got.
Right.
I'd say silver linings, but I don't think you can afford that. So it's probably, shiny lead.
Ooh.
Oh, I forgot. I set your luck too low there, Finn. And while we are going to start with just whatever you guys have as your rolled starting luck, Nick, because of your talent, I will let you roll a 1d10 and add that to your starting luck for the start of this session.
Great. I'll roll it now before I forget. So 8.
Nice.
Cool.
Wow.
We're all doing that, Kevin?
No, only Nick. Oh. Normally, you would roll. You'd make a normal like a luck check, and then you would see whether if you succeed, you gain a certain amount of luck at the start of the session. If you fail, for the first session, you start with just whatever your starting luck is. But because he's got a talent that specifically augments the amount of luck he starts with, I'm letting him roll that to start the session.
Yeah.
Just because you only get 2 talents, so it's
That's great. That will definitely come in. I will be using that.
There's a good chance of it.
Yeah. All
right. So how are we doing for selection here? And you don't need to suffer over stuff. It really, like, if you want to, if you've got just a shit ton of money, you can. If it's not something that you're going to be carrying with you at the present time, we can figure out what you've got.
Yeah.
If you're restricted in your money, then just figure out the best. The best of what you can carry.
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty I'm no Lady Avery, but I'm I'm not doing too badly. So I'm kind of.
I have more than I thought. Yeah, it's a little bit. It's not too bad. Not too bad
Yeah.
for being average. Starting your assets, because how much do you really need? I mean, unless you're Lady Avery, how much do you really have to?
Exactly. So I'm just picking up to gear I know that I would have on me in general.
Okay.
And the rest would be spent on like my housing and all of that stuff.
Okay.
In terms of my assets.
All right. Oh my God.
I think I have everything.
Addison, maybe either couch surfing or, living in a flop house.
Well, he's not that destitute, but from the height of his.
Oh, got it.
previous
Okay.
life.
It's by comparison. Okay.
Yeah.
So how are we doing? Are we all good to go here now?
Yeah, I think I have all the things that make sense.
Okay, so we'll take our mid-session break right now, and then we'll come back in 5 minutes, and we'll get things started. Also, I don't think I've got it listed. Yeah, but after the session, I'll figure out where the break is, and I'll put that in the description below, so people can just skip to the start of the session if they want to skip past the thing at a later point.
Good call.
Okay, so great. All right, then we'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we'll be kicking off A Cold Fire Within. So back momentarily. Okay. I believe we are good to go here. All right. What is Addison's credit rating out of curiosity?
20.
Okay.
I played around with that because I was like, just trying to figure out what that right balance is, and kind of went up and down, and I kind of settled on 20.
Well, and the things that characters are bad at in the game too, like not only does it kind of make for a good character element as well, it also allows opportunities for other characters to excel in those things, to feel unique by contrast, like Lady Avery.
Oh, and I do not mind taking advantage of that.
Nice. She may be one of the reasons why he keeps showing up at the open mind group.
Yeah.
Oh, Lady Avery, if you insist, of course, please, by all means, pick up the bill.
And she's got two large apartments, so she might not even notice if he's, hanging around, sleeping in one of them.
Always show up for dinner.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so now the radio buttons we use to indicate if we've successfully used the skill during the session.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, while we're waiting for George to
failed,
get...
wasn't it? Wasn't it a failed test, Kevin?
No. If you
No.
if you successfully use it, then you get to make the roll at the end to see if it goes up, and you have to roll under it to go for it to go up.
Oh, roll over it for it to go up.
Over it.
Oh, sorry, roll over it. Yeah. Oh, you roll under it to succeed. Right.
Yeah.
So you have to roll over it for it to go up.
Yeah, so like if you have the weird chance of like something you're crappy at that you succeed at, the likelihood is you're going to see those skills go up then because you were awful at it. And let me check here. So here's something I'll say about Chaosium. I got, this is the 40th anniversary Keeper's book. I got it just because it looked really cool. I've taken the what do you call it, the slipcase or book jacket off because I fucking hate book jackets. Like with the heat of 1,000 because it's just so not necessary. It's got the thing on it. It's a beautiful looking book. First one I got was printed upside down. So like if you have the spine, you open it up and it was upside down. So I was like,
madness.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? Like, it's just a silly thing. So I contacted them and said, hey, this is the case with it. I sent them pictures of it. Like, it's upside down, but it's usable. There's nothing wrong with it. But because it's a special edition, and I got it, and they're like, no problem. We'll send you out a replacement. So they send me out a replacement, and then they sent another one by accident. So I got 2 replacements for it, and I was like, hey, I'm happy to send this back to you, whatever else. They're like, do you have a friend who wants it? So James and Carl both got copies of this because they were the other 2 Call of Cthulhu fans that I knew, thanks to Chaosium. Because like, whatever, just send them to your friends who you got them. So fucking
that's awesome.
And yeah, incredible customer service.
That's great.
Kevin, you use your magical lawyer skills all the time when you write these game companies, and they always send you shit. They always read your emails, and they just read right through your lawyer shit, and they just send you
I may
copy.
have I have Dungeon User at the bottom of one of my accounts, and I have Barrister and Solicitor at the bottom of another one. I am exceptionally polite. I am never threatening, and they're
No, of course not. But they always send you the
well,
stuff.
and it's I think that one didn't come from my Barrister and Solicitor. It was just my Dungeon User account.
No, it's the way you write the email. It's not the signature line. It's the words.
Anyone who either is who has parents who are lawyers or who are the kids of or have kids with it, they know like arguing with a lawyer parent just sucks.
Oh, hey, just to let you know, while we're having a quick intermission, I got to have a drink with Rob and Andrea and Mike and Mike's wife.
Oh, nice. Were they all out in
Yeah, they were there at the Corn and Apple.
Oh, awesome! Yeah,
I
yeah.
forgot to tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Like I know that Mike or what do you call it, Rob still like regularly makes the trek out for Corn and Apple every year.
Yeah.
That's great.
So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I haven't seen them since I've only seen Rob and Andrea since Brent's wedding, which was like 6 years ago now, maybe even more.
Wow.
But hold on here. All right, so I'm just looking for an advancement here. Getting used to awfulness. We won't be reading that chapter. Let's see here. Investigator development phase. Okay, here we go. I also selected the music for this campaign too, so I'm good to go. It was really loud at some points when we first started playing, but listening back to the playback, I fucking love the music that we got for that zombie one-shot, or for the All Flesh Must Be Eaten one. It was from a separate guy who offers his music up for streamers to use, license free. And it has had this amazing like 80s synth pop kind of vibe to it, or not synth pop, but it was a synthwave vibe. It was so perfect for like a John Carpenter style thing.
Nice.
Loved it. Okay. White
Kevin,
Bat
I was gonna
Audio.
mention-
I think was the. What was that, Gary?
Oh, sorry. I was just going to mention. You were talking about that HP Lovecraft Society box set.
Yeah.
When I was at Comic-Con, or not Comic-Con, sorry,
Gen Con.
Gen Con, I interviewed Sean Branny and Andrew Lehman about that set, and I sat with them at the Emmy Awards. A couple of very nice gentlemen.
Yeah, actually,
Awesome. Cool.
Speaking of, so where can people see Friendly Local Gaming Store?
You can see it on my YouTube channel. It's on there. It's
nice.
a 1 hour documentary. If you look through it, through my videos, you can see the 1 hour documentary on the world's largest game store in Calgary, the Century Box.
Yeah.
And it's one of those little passion projects that kind of just happened.
Oh, it was Emmy nominated too, wasn't it?
No. It was just a part of the film festival at Gen Con.
So
That's awesome.
Cool.
festival featured.
Yeah, festival featured at Gen Con, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Cool.
Outstanding. Okay, so then, guys, let's talk about New York in May 1935. Here we are. So, tell us about. Let's first move over to this map here, which I think is gorgeous. I'm just going to put your tokens stacked up here. If we need to adjust the stats or whatnot, we will do so. All right. So here is Manhattan. And the summer has only just begun, but it is proving to be likely a quite warm one. You all know one another through that Open Mind group, and there is a couple that you all know through them as well. They are the Sterlings. It is the wife is Melody, and the husband is Brendan. Let me show you the two. And the Open Mind group, I will say, is also, it is not an exclusive club in the sense that you can only belong to that. Lots of people dabble back and forth between different groups and things like that, and there's no issues with it. Here is Melody. And there is Brendan. Brendan is a dentist. You know that partly because of his constant, he has mentioned it several times in the past, and he has been weathering the depression as a dentist. He's been weathering depression better than what some others have been. It sounds like Addison, I mean, you could very well be attributing some of your, some of the turns of fortune to just that like even the grips of depression. So I can't remember offhand when the Federal Theater Project is kicked off, but I you may be involved with that in some limited capacity. George, do you happen to know what your Federal Theater project?
No, I wish I knew the answer to that. I actually am not sure.
There is a terrific film called Cradle Will Rock that is about, it's framed around that stuff. It's this weird film, came out in the early 2000s and then sort of disappeared, but the cast is amazing and it's really, really good. If you want to get a sense of like a 30s kind of, Depression era stuff, and it has a lot of Diego Rivera plays, or not Diego Rivera, who's the actor? Can't remember. Someone plays Diego Rivera in it, and like John Cusack plays, I can't remember which tycoon it is. Someone plays Orson Welles. It's a great film. John Turturro's in it. Anyway, the what we got?
What's the title of it again, Kevin?
Cradle Will Rock.
Cradle Will Rock, right? Okay, great. I'm gonna check that out or try to find it. I know that it's
it's one of those Lord ones. It's definitely worth tracking down. I really enjoyed it back at the time or at the time. Okay, so the Federal Theater Project is still a ways off, so it's not. You're seeing very hard times. I think I imagine a lot of Broadway is shut down, and in addition to that, you're just long in the tooth, as it were, for a leading actor. Finn, you're probably not as affected by this. The more trouble that goes up, more than anything, you're probably busier than ever because the more desperate people have become, the more they're likely to turn to unconventional or perhaps unwise, options for seeing a change in fortune. And
the church always has money, don't they? Church always has money.
Yeah. And Nick, I think if you are still working with the State Department, which I think is the organization that sort of would organize the any kind of espionage stuff at this time.
Yeah, I need to do a deeper dive into it. It's a little bit unclear.
Okay.
Cursory. Yeah, but that would make sense. So,
there is, not to keep plugging behind the bastards, but there's a great series. They've got two-parter on the Dulles brothers. Actually, this may be of interest to you, George, in particular, but there's a two-part thing of the Dulles brothers that talks about how they're growing up as well too. So Alan Dulles and who's the other guy? I don't remember. Clearly, I listened very closely to it, but one ended up in the State Department, awesome. One ended up running the CIA at one point, and it's really interesting. It starts around the time of this, where it talks about what American espionage, the espionage agencies were like prior to the OSS being created during World War II.
Interesting. That's very cool. I will check that out.
Then let's see here.
And Lady Avery has a financial advisor who's in the family, and she's not really sure where her money's invested, but the statement she's shown every month seems to go up all the time.
Nice. So you are definitely making your you are have been unaffected by it. You're still unaffected by Black Monday. Oh, sweet. It's really worth. Yeah. I think it's just the cast is fucking awesome in it, and yeah,
it looks cool. I will do that.
And I can't remember the actor's name. Gosh, but him screaming at John Cusack in one scene is really enjoyable.
Okay, that's cool.
So let's see here. So what do you guys think? What's your you guys have been something has happened to. Melody that she needs to talk to you guys about something, and it's in relation to it's in your connection through the Open Mind group. Let's quickly talk about the Open Mind group. Actually, I posted on Discord, but I don't think we talked about it today. So the Open Mind group is a loose organization of people interested in strange phenomena and the powers of the human mind and body. While ghosts, fairies, freak occurrences, and so on are of interest, the members tend to focus on unlocking the human potential. It is in many ways a social club, a way for fellow travelers to relax together. Of course, considering their mutual interests and conflicting theories on the paranormal, that relaxation often takes the form of debate, ranging from friendly conversation to heated arguments. Out-and-out feuds are very much frowned upon, though, because the stated purpose of the organization is to foster the free exchange of ideas regarding the workings of the human mind and the universe. Those who can't leave their dogmas at the door, or at least respectfully rein them in, are given polite admonishments, or, if needs be, find that door closed to them forever. The organization was founded in the late 19th century, which was a heady time for esoteric explorations. As a simplified generalization, just talking about it, this is more background stuff. As a simplified generalization, there were three approaches: traditional occult or spiritual belief and practice, like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, the Great Satans group, a mixture of the spiritual and scientific, like the Theosophists. That word scientific is really getting a stretch in there. And the strictly scientific, for example, the Society for Physical Research. While there was some overlap and individuals might migrate between organizations and beliefs, there was often friction, if not outright animosity, between the adherents of different or even similar belief systems. There's some great stuff in that Behind the Bastards about Madame Blavatsky, about the amount of shit-talking she would do, allegedly from the great Kudhumi, about other spiritualists, about how, great Kudhumi says, you're shit. Whoa, man. The Open Mind Group, however, started as an informal gathering in a corner of a Manhattan gentleman's club, the Novum Eburacum Club, in 1894. Spirited but cordial debate between the participants over cigars and brandy was both entertaining and enlightening. Some of the people involved realized they greatly valued the opportunity to hear different ideas and perfect their own, so it was decided to create a separate club focused on this mutual interest, which also encouraged women to participate as well as the less wealthy. There are now no barriers based on gender, ethnicity, religion, or class. Some of the men bristled at this egalitarianism, but they soon learned to either accept it or look elsewhere. The formal group first met on August 20, 1895, in the parlor of the founding member and timber baron, Fillmore Bellows. The New York group still meets in the oak-lined parlor of the venerable Mr. Bellows. Remember, 1895 is only 40 years ago. His son, Lincoln, is a devoted member as well, so the property promises to remain open to gatherings when Fillmore Sr. expires. The group publishes a bi-monthly newsletter, the Journal of the Open Mind, with articles ranging from the scholarly to the enthusiastically slapdash. Contributors include members of the lodges that have opened in Chicago, San Diego, Mexico City, and Vancouver, Canada. There is something particularly American about the group's excitable clash of ideas, and other than distributing its newsletter to the interested, it makes no effort to spread its reach. But any like-minded soul is welcome to found a lodge in their city, so long as it follows the group's loose philosophy. The open-minders, as some members affectionately refer to each other, still come from a variety of backgrounds. Some are dedicated and serious seekers after knowledge, while others may have a more relaxed attitude. They might be parapsychologists, Christian mystics, spiritualists, practitioners of Egyptian magic, folklorists, Forteans, skeptics, followers of fads, or the idly curious. While the philosophy of the group is that members should always be open to new ideas, there is no prohibition on belonging to other organizations, and many members do. The organization's purpose is primarily social, though they often stage formal debates between members and invite outside speakers. Any member may submit articles for the newsletter. Many members arrange experiments, scientific or spiritual, with friends they've made at the club. While the organization itself doesn't provide financial assistance, individual members may bankroll interesting projects in whole or in part. As the name implies, there is an abiding interest in psychic phenomena, and many members either profess to have psychic abilities or are interested in developing them. Others are merely content to study the matter. So, where do we think we find your characters coming from to meet up with the rest at the Open Mind group meeting, which will be at 6 on your map here? Right there. Oh, sorry, George. I'll point once again? Just near Central Park.
No, yeah, it was just because I left up the images of the two
Oh, the individuals, yeah.
siblings to continue to,
So,
have that visual.
I think that Lady Avery and Addison, you probably have the most contact with Melody because while her husband is a dentist, she comes from a pretty well-to-do Barwick family and has lived in New York City her entire life, apart from time in Poughkeepsie where she attended Vassar College. So she's educated. She's curious in this. Both you've known both of the two to be quite interested in the parapsychological or the unnatural. And where do you think you guys are all coming from? Where would be what sort of are you dropping, as it were, to come and meet up with this open-minder or fellow open-minder?
What time of day was it again?
It's probably maybe early morning on Wednesday, May 8th, 1935.
Okay.
Well, I'm waking up on Lady Avery's couch. I'm nursing a hangover from the dinner party that we were told to go to this meeting at.
Okay.
How does that sound?
I like it.
Okay.
For sure.
I think I was, I had to take a job that I don't like to normally take, which is backing up like a private detective that I know from back in the day. And so I was up doing like surveillance on some, something that I consider ridiculous, like some cheating situation, and like got very little sleep and thinks this is like ridiculous, and was hoping that like Cthulhu would show up just to make it interesting. But like wasn't drinking, he was on the job, like, focused. He didn't fall asleep. Like he's a professional.
Yep.
But he got this call. He's like, oh, God damn it. I only got 2 hours of sleep, but I guess this is fate calling me. I got to answer the call.
Okay.
So I head out.
And Finn, what about you? What do you think you're...
I think I've come from Cardinal McCloskey's contact, like the guy that I can get a hold of if I want to. So I don't call up the Cardinal, but I can contact his guy, at will, more or less. And I think I've come from his office to see if there's a job, and there's not. And so I'm coming to the open-minded group, hoping to find something I can pitch to the church.
Well, you've been specifically asked, though. Like, this is, you have a contact with Melody. All of you do. So gotcha. What we're looking for is what's your buy-in for why your character... And it could very well be that she just knows that you and Nick are both troubleshooters, and it could very well be that Addison and Avery, Lady Avery, forgive me, are just... they are like more social contacts.
Yeah, same thing, but I'll just restructure it. That basically I came from that office, but I've planted seeds at the open-minded for the purpose of, drumming up a little business, hopefully. So I get the call, and I'm like, let's go. Like, so maybe I might have found something.
Where would Finn collect Nick then? So if Nick's on a stakeout, maybe like Finn, you stop by Nick's office, I'm not sure if you've, or perhaps the office of the private investigator, and you stop by and collect Nick to go and head over.
I think I probably know the investigator. I mean, I think it's same circles. That guy was on a team, a church team, who knows when, back in the day, that we were on together. So I probably just dropped by knowing he was bound to go too. Maybe I know, right? Maybe presume that like, Nick was bound to be included on this. And so I dropped by thinking he might be asleep on the couch because I know how this PI works. And
That's what I was just gonna say. I have like a fedora that's like over my face, like, and I got my feet up on the, the couch. Yeah.
So you're in the apartment, supposed to be overwatch for this investigators, a knock at the door, and then curiously, I think that you guys may have Melody is not a blushing violet by any means. But the two of them, I think that Brendan may be the one who is more inclined to chat with you guys more into a lot of this stuff. So how do you want to let the scene play out for collecting Nick?
Assuming that the it's probably I'm thinking a PI's office, so I'm thinking it's in a building.
Well, he's on a gig. I guess that's why he needed to collect him. I'm trying to think of how Nick would get contacted by this. I'm assuming you went by the his secretary's office. The secretary knew where our airsats Jake Giddis was with Nick, and that's where you went to go and collect Nick.
I think then I just go to the address and I find you, Nick, snoozing.
Yeah, I think maybe it's like on the Upper West Side, kind of a fancier part of town, given the circumstances of 1935. These are the people who have money to hire private detectives to figure out if their spouses are cheating, and could maybe in a divorce make some money. So we're staked out, like I think across the street, like maybe even in Central Park, like right on the edge, at like the Dakota, outside the Dakota, on 72nd Street, which is one of the famous buildings there that's been around since before this time period. So like, I think you kind of are like walking, basically where I'm supposed to be, but you don't know exactly where I am.
Yeah.
And then I spot you coming up, like looking around, like trying to figure out where I am, but I'm sort of hidden kind of stealthily, like casually, stealthily. I don't have like a newspaper, like, it's not that
eyes cut out.
Exactly. But I'm definitely surveilling and trying to keep a low profile. And so when I see you, I realize obviously if you're here, there's something going on.
Yeah.
And so I immediately like, screw this with everything I'm doing, and I walk right over to you and I'm like, what's happening?
I say, hey, there he is, and and I look around, and I think because I know I have a general like, what's so, oh, you're on a job, huh? And I look at the neighborhood and go, oh, pays good, huh?
Yeah, I'll take it. I just
listen to you. You're too bashful. You need me for something. I'm a little dry right now, but it's different than my usual. But keep me in mind.
Understood. Is there something? Are we supposed to?
Yeah.
Why?
It may be more interesting than this, but I don't know if it pays as well. He keeps looking around. He says, but Melody sent out the word. Melody Sterling.
So one thing I will just say to contextualize what to expect from a Call of Cthulhu adventure. Pay's not really this isn't like The Witcher where you're like negotiating a fee or stuff like that. More often than not, the expectation is your characters are going to have buy-in to go and investigate stuff, especially in a pulp context.
I think I've been trying to get Melody and maybe her brother as well to invest in helping me like track down this kind of Cthulhu mythos mystery that I've stumbled onto that would maybe lead to me finding my lost friend Marcus.
Yeah. And,
so I have just known her all that time.
One thing I'll say too is that with the way the sort of discovering backstory through madness thing works, we can assume that at the start of the campaign, you guys it's not likely that you've ever seen an actual Lovecraftian creature, or at the very least, you don't remember it.
Yes, I don't remember. I think I don't remember it.
Yeah, this is the start
I woke up with this weird psychic ability, and I have no idea what happens.
And for Finn, for you, you very well could have seen some really weird shit over the course of your investigations, things that you can't explain, that acts of God or the devil or perhaps something else, but there's not the same kind of at the start of your characters or your investigators' careers, you haven't actually faced the supernatural, or at the very least, you don't remember facing it yet.
Yeah, and I was.
Go ahead.
I was just leaning on the Depression era that, we all have our primary interest, but you also got to pay the rent. And so, if Nick found a job to pay the rent.
The only reason I didn't think you were going to hinge on that. I just thought it was something worth mentioning that, that's just not part of generally speaking, it's not part of, because accumulating wealth in this game doesn't really mean anything.
Well, and what I'll add on to that, given that, additional context, is that what's clear to me is that I have some kind of ability, but don't know how to use it, maybe to its potential, etc., which is why I joined the open mind group to begin with, So I'm very and I've never met anybody who understands this stuff. So this is like my tribe. So I'm always willing to help out a member of my tribe, whoever it might be. But I also look to them for help as well in figuring out what's going on with me. So I think I have a personal, like, to the group, like, the group is important to me, I guess is the way I would put it.
Well, and Finn, if your overwhelming thing is maybe I misunderstood, but I thought that your overwhelming drive was facing these unnatural things that were threats, right? Not like making money, and this happens to be the way you make money. It was that was the primary drive.
No doubt, but just the depression. I was just going depression-wise. That in the meantime, everyone's trying to stay off the sidewalk. Keep above water. That's all.
Okay, got it. Okay, so then, yes. So Finn, what Finn heard Melody Sterling wants to meet about something. There's something that she needs looking into, and if she's contacted Finn specifically, I don't think you know her well enough to have her make these kind of social calls. She wouldn't be asking you to run errands. It is likely, as you say, you've sort of spread around words of like, this is what we look into, and they've, that's probably the reason she's contacted. I think there's no question that there is something in your wheelhouse is the reason she's contacted you in the first place, Finn.
So do I know, Nick, about your ability? I do then. Or
no, definitely. I think that how it works or any of the details of it are a mystery to me and everybody else. But that I seem to have psychic power, like, or maybe it's like a Sherlock Holmes thing where it's just like my mind works so fast and picks up things that I don't even recognize it's picking up and blah blah blah. Maybe there's a scientific explanation for it. Who knows? I don't know, but we're trying to figure it out. So I think that's kind of what we both would think about what I could do.
And Finn just accepts it. Like he doesn't, he's seen it quite a bit and he's like, yep, sure, yes. It's like, don't know much about it, but, if you say so, and whether I've seen it or not, seen enough that it makes sense to me, or at least that
it almost comes off. It almost comes off as into, like, I'm a spy to begin with, so obviously I'm investigating things, etc. It almost comes off sometimes as just intuition, like it combined with experience. Like, okay, usually I'm touching an object, so I'm like, you know what, this is still warm. I think they're down the hall on the left. It's like, how would you know they're on the left? Well, let's just go. Oh, there they are. They're down on the left. Like, nice. How do I figure that out? No, nobody knows. But I picked up little pieces of information.
Finn, why don't you do this? Finn, give us a psychology check. And right. Nick, why don't you give us a, let's see here. I think a fast talk check.
Okay,
please.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I put a lot of skills into for fun. All right, so it's a regular check.
Okay. Just a regular check, yeah.
Why is it not letting me make the roll?
Is it set to edit
mode? Turn off edit mode, probably.
Oh, yes, you're right. It's still in edit mode. Thank you. There we go.
Okay.
Oh,
wow! Right on the number. All right,
Price is right.
What you find, I think. What I was going to get you to roll for is to see if Finn maybe had picked up that there is something unnatural over the course of you guys, your friendship or whatever your relationship is. It sounds like not. It sounds like Nick has managed to conceal this stuff. Nick, make sure to put a tick next to fast talk. Successfully use it.
Awesome.
Then you guys, Nick, I take it you're just going to, tell so-and-so that you're leaving?
Yeah, I think I have a partner, not like my partner, but I've been set up with a partner for this job. And so there's two of us like keeping an eye on this situation. And I just explained to him, like, I've got an emergency I got to handle right now. Yeah. And this does happen every once in a while. So it's not like, oh my God, this is crazy. The other person's not.
Maybe he's asleep. Like you guys are sitting in a car, and he's got his tam down over his eyes. You hit him, and you're like, oh. You leave, and you're like, all right, right back to sleep. Once again.
That's great.
So you guys are heading off. So let's switch to our entertainers here. What do we see as, I guess, like, we'll probably be seeing Lady Avery and Addison leaving your place and then making your way over here. Are we seeing like an opulent kind of apartment building?
Yeah, well, I imagine the start is like Lady Avery coming out all dressed up, ready to go, and, you know, have to smack Addison, like, get up, you layabout, straighten yourself up, look proper. Melody needs us at this thing tonight, and I need you to drive the Cadillac.
Do you not have a driver? Honestly, and you call yourself rich.
I was about to say the same thing, or at least a cab. I'm not going to drive.
You're not going to drive? No.
I think. Do you have your?
I mean, I could have a driver if you don't want to drive the car.
I think your credit rating is a 70. That is pretty.
Well, it says on the thing that like your apartments and whatnot come with like some like actual servants and whatnot.
I think it's safe to say you have a driver.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just creating a good reason for her to drag him along.
It could very well be that you're used to traveling. If from the time as a young girl until the time that the great Brandini disappeared, you could be Burdini. Forgive me. You again. I'm never gonna get that right. It's gonna be something different each time. The great Baghetti. I don't know. I think maybe you're just you're used to traveling with someone and kind of like constantly having that back and forth. And if he's been gone for that long, Addison probably serves a bit of a quasi replacement.
Totally. Yeah.
How's that sound, Gary?
Sure, sounds good to me.
Okay. That may be why she puts up with your, mooching constantly. And they knew one another, so they could very well, like, Addison knew, the brilliant, I've already fucking forgotten it. Jesus Christ. Burdini. That's not even playing for effect now.
Yeah.
I share old stories of our exploits.
Absolutely.
When we were younger.
Yeah.
So then probably you'd see us like leaving my fancy apartment, getting into my Cadillac. The driver would drive us over there.
Driver gives a bit of a look to Addison.
Yeah. I straighten my tie. I'm good.
Okay. All right. So I think Nick and Finn, you guys are arriving. However, do either of you own a vehicle?
No, I could take you on the bike.
1935 New York.
That's okay.
Did New York ever have trams, like streetcars?
There were no,
never did. Okay.
But there were. Well, yes, but but it was very early on. But at this point, you would have had elevated trains in addition to the subway.
Okay, so you guys
the
arrive.
IRL line would be probably like there would be.
So maybe a cab you guys take then.
Or cab, yeah.
Yeah, so you guys got, hop out of a cab around, the time you recognize the this gorgeous Cadillac come rolling up, and the door opens. And why don't you tell us who is the first to come out of the vehicle and what is the impression that they make on Nick and Finn?
I assume Lady Avery is a little bit more spry than me. So
yeah, probably. Yeah, she probably gets out first. She'd probably be wearing a fairly fancy outfit to this meeting because it's being held by Melody Sterling, so it's something you've got to show up for. So probably the impression would be maybe slightly overdressed is how she looks.
Okay. So it's someone dressed for dinner at 10 o'clock in the morning. Right out, with a great deal of flourish. I mean, you can tell that both Addison and Lady Avery, nowadays you'd call them theater kids because there's a great deal of, production that comes out of them leaving the vehicle. Addison's is perhaps less deft than Lady Avery, but I mean, he's not getting. It's not that he's not getting parts for lack of talent. It's wholly other issues. So the two of them get out looking like $1 million. In Addison's case, maybe, I don't know, 1050. And you guys, so you know one another, and you do know each other through the Sterlings. So it may make sense for like, oh, Lady Avery and Addison, you would know them as sort of the more investigative sorts, and you are more of the like friendly gadabout sorts. So you would be the more approachable for Melody to go to. You also may be of means that are beyond her and her husband, and Nick and Finn are more of the investigative type. So it makes sense that they would be. She may call them as well.
Right.
I think Finn doffs the cap to Lady Avery and gives a wink to Addison.
I just kind of give like a quick, tip of my hat and fedora to both of them.
Gentlemen?
But I've always, Good
This
morning.
must be serious business if you two are invited as well.
Let's hope.
Yes, let's hope.
I
Something
thought-
exciting
because-
then.
Well, that's what I was looking forward to. And now that I see that the two of you are here, I know that's going to be the case.
Well, there's probably drinks inside, so we should go in.
Good point. Everybody's like, yes, good point.
So you all head in, and this is the type of establishment where there is a doorman that opens the door, lets you all in. You are all like most assuredly at home in this place. It's the oak paneled walls and whatnot, and you can see there are. It is a eclectic gathering of there's a penniless rabbi who is talking with a swami who is talking with some student of obscure things, very Lovecraftian, kind of like tall, I mean literally in the like H.P. Lovecraft kind of way, tall, gawky, hunched over, bespectacled, and listening to the intense conversations between everyone. But you can see, sitting at one of the booths that makes up there is Melody, and she's sitting on her own. No sign of Brendan. And when she sees you come in, she stands up, and you know her to be friendly and very intellectually curious. Like she's always, you've had really interesting conversations with them. Nick, in particular, if you happen to have confided in her in your abilities, she may have had some very interesting questions about like when it first manifested and what's the limits of it and whatever else. Like just and not in a pushy kind of way, just in a very sweet and inquisitive kind of way.
Yeah, great.
So she sees you all and gestures you over to the table. Would you each give us a... Let's see here. Cthulhu Mythos roll. No, I'm kidding.
Her head bursts apart. And tentacles.
It seems like it leaves a lot of stuff in it, but it's a very quick adventure.
It's very quick. Sanity checks, and then everybody dies.
Yeah.
Would you give us, let's see here, I think a psychology check, please.
Okay.
We'll let everyone start rolling some dice here. Failure.
Mm-hmm. Look at that. Where'd the drinks?
Oh, I was so close to my
Crack team we are.
Let's talk about the spending of luck then. Because remember, you can spend luck on a one-for-one basis to change your dice roll.
Mm-hmm.
So, for instance...
And how do we get it back, Kevin? Is that a
At the
session
start
time?
of next session, you will make a luck check. If you succeed in it, you get, I think it's like 1d10 back. If you fail it, you get like 3d10 plus something.
Yeah.
The game will keep you topped up on luck, or intends to keep you topped up on luck.
Oh, because I am only 13 away.
Yeah. And then
Does that count as a success then for checking later?
Yes, it does.
Oh, absolutely then. That's
Okay.
easy. Let's do it.
So then, what? And anyone else wish to spend? I think some of these are more expensive than others. Addison, for instance.
No.
Okay. There will be plenty of opportunities to spend stuff anyway. Okay, then make sure you tick off your...
Yeah, and I just feel like, Lady Avery is very in tune with Melody here. Like, she's probably one of her more close friends in the
so she
open mind group.
Yeah, so you see her, and she maybe comes out and kind of... what you notice as you make your way over towards her is she looks exhausted. Like big bags under her eyes. She looks extremely worn down. And the more so the sort of spark and vibrancy that you see in her normally is just not there.
I think I would come over and sort of gently embrace her and be like, Melody, darling, what's wrong?
It's Lady Avery, thank you so much for coming. It's Brendan. He has gone missing.
Yes, I knew that look. It's the same way I felt.
Oh, she says, of course. Of course you would know. Maybe she knew. Maybe that's what she was. You know, what? I don't think she's the type to try and manipulate you. So I think she genuinely seems to have forgotten. That's something you discussed before.
Right.
And she just thinks I'm such a fool. I'm so sorry I didn't mean to bring this up for you. I did not mean to open this, what I know is a wound for you.
You know, nothing to trifle on right now. We must begin the search for Brendan immediately. The first moments are the most important.
Then let me... please have a seat. I will tell you what has happened, and I'll tell you what I know thus far. What I know... I know that Mr. Townsend and Mr. Feigl, I know that you have spoken to Brendan before. Have you seen him since last Thursday?
No, I haven't.
I don't think so, man. I think I just decided Feigl's Irish.
Feigl, okay.
He sounds Irish. Finn Feigl kind of.
I assumed. Irish. Yeah. I was waiting for the brogue to really come out. And
and I don't want to keep you waiting, so I'm
outstanding.
Some horrible, Russian to Irish is about to begin.
Yeah. So the amount of times, the best bit of role playing we've had the last little while was when James in the zombie session used a North American accent as payback for my continual abuse of Scottish.
That's
really funny.
Yeah.
So what she says is, you can see, I guess, first off, what you can see, Lady Avery, is like her asking Nick and Finn about this. It's like a last hope. You can see she deflates even further than what she was. It was almost like she was holding out hope that perhaps he talked to them. So she sits down, and what she says is that when the last she saw him was, and forgive me, I'm going to be reading because I didn't memorize this stuff. So the last she saw him was last Thursday, May 2nd. He came home after she had already gone to bed. She woke up when he came home and asked him where he'd been. He apologized for coming in late. He said something about meeting friends who he was going to go camping with over the weekend. I was half asleep during the conversation, so I didn't think of asking for any further details. And then on Monday morning, when he had not returned, I was beginning to wonder what was going on, but I had errands to run, and when I stopped by the bank to withdraw cash for these errands, the teller told me, quite embarrassed, that the account was empty. Brendan had cleared out all of our savings on Friday morning. I immediately contacted the police, and I spoke to the desk sergeant at the local precinct. He was exceptionally unhelpful. He took some notes, but he seemed more interested in telling me that Brendan would just simply turn up. He told me that he was probably out with the boys, but he also asked if it was possible if he'd run off with another woman. That is not the man I married. And why don't we do this? Why don't you guys each give us, once again, another psychology check. Let's see what your judge of Brendan's personality was. Nice, 96. You slam your head to the table, you stand up. I had an affair with him.
Yeah, I give up.
Addison, that's actually not that far off from a success. And the only reason why that might be worth trying to purchase, because then you get to put a tick next to psychology and perhaps raise it.
And you have a good chance to raise it if it's a 10.
How do I take the lock off?
So just, well, actually, what you can do is if you adjust the...
The character sheet adjusts the token.
Yeah, if you adjust the token, your blue is your luck. So click on your token and just click on the blue circle, hit -20, and then enter. It'll make the adjustments for you. And then make sure to put a tick next to psychology. Addison, you have known many cads in your day. It comes, unfortunately, with the territory of being a thespian. There are those who wish to throw their admiration at you. Brendan Sterling never struck you as that type of man. He struck you as one devoted and singularly focused on his wife. And after all, he was a dentist. Is a dentist really the type to cheat on his wife?
So that doesn't sound like the Brendan I know. And who was he getting a camp with? Did he tell you?
I did not think to ask, unfortunately. You see, he woke me up when he got home. I was half awake. I did not give any thought to what he was saying, and then he was gone. I've since asked around for any word of where Brendan may have gone, because the desk sergeant, in spite of his assurance that they would look into things, I am quite certain that they are doing nothing to the sort. And Addison, she puts her hand across the table. Thank you for saying that about Brendan.
No problem. Is there perhaps...
I'm sorry, Addison, go ahead.
Is there perhaps something at the apartment that would have given away his activities?
Nothing I could find, but I was hoping that you might be willing to look into these matters. Addison and Lady Avery, you are both more... certainly more aware and more at home in the city, as it were, and have more avenues of inquiry. And Mr. Townsend, Mr. Fiegel, you as well, I understand this is more your area of expertise. I hope that you might... I am, to be honest... This was obviously a surprise, but I have been worried about Brendan for a number of weeks now. He's been absent-minded and he's been distracted and forgetting things here and there. He started seeing this man, Ferdinand Argus, in January. And you guys can each give us an cult roll, if you like. Let's see if you've heard anything about Ferdinand Argus. Ferdinand is a very hard name for me to say, apparently. My tongue is tripping like crazy. Oh, awesome. Awesome rolls for both. Make sure you put ticks next to occult.
Oh, yeah.
Where is occult?
Upper right.
Upper right.
Upper right. Oh, there it is. Oh, am I good at it?
A 5? Nice.
Yeah.
So Finn and Nick, I guess you guys both share a glance at one another. You've had this fellow's come up before. Argus is a hypnotist who claims to be able to unlock memories of past lives. Quite the character. Ginger hair, and he's got this bizarre split beard. A style that you're not sure has ever been in vogue, but, you know, the 30s are a bold and innovative time. I don't think you've looked any further beyond that, but you would know where to find him, and you're aware of him. His name has come up. So if you wish to say something to, you know, Melody mentions that he was seeing this Ferdinand Argus.
We know who you're talking about.
You know that.
And probably where to find him.
So, yes.
Well,
I was unconvinced.
I wouldn't say I know him, but...
I see. I was unconvinced, but Brendan, I am open, as I am open to the possibility of, or the concept of reincarnation, but to be frank, I simply doubt that such previous incarnations can be unlocked so well as the bobbing of a chain and some brief questions. But Brendan was quite, he was quite confident that Mr. Argus had this gift. And
what started Brendan's interest in this area? Is it something he's always been interested in?
It's an area of interest. As you're aware, we're both interested in a wide variety of interesting topics. This was just simply something Argus has, to my knowledge, never been a member of the Open Mind. This was something he looked into. Brendan, in fact, in spite of my reservations, I wanted to support what Brendan's interests were. And so I attended and underwent the process that Argus uses. There is a sweet floral incense that he burns, filling the very air with this heavy odor. And he makes use of a swinging amethyst pendant. And then his own droning voice. She gestures to Lady Avery. I imagine that stage shows may make use of such things. It felt as such. A huckster, as it were, plying their craft. It did nothing for me. If anything, the sickly sweet smell was nauseating. But then I watched Brendan's session. And not only did he readily become hypnotized, he began mumbling disjointed fragments until he started speaking in words in a language that I did not understand. And it wasn't simple gibberish. There was meaning behind those words, though I did not understand them, and I'm certain that it's a language Brendan did not speak. I wasn't quite sure what to make of it, but then I know my husband's eyes, beautiful brown eyes, but when he opened them, I swear that they turned gray in the course of the sitting. Anyone have science, biology, or medicine beyond the base level?
No.
No? Okay. A couple of months ago, I asked Brendan to quit seeing Mr. Argus. He was spending too much time and too much money on this infatuation. Brendan said he would, but a couple of weeks ago, while washing the laundry, I could smell that same characteristic flowery incense on his shirt. He passed it off on a lingering odor, and I did not press any further. Lady Avery, you know that she is holding something back. She is thinking about something, and she looks like she wants to go on to talk about something else, but you can see there's a look on her face that you know well. She's weighing whether to say something.
And I would just say, spill it all, Melody. Any detail could be important.
And she looks... Well, as I said, when Brendan came home on Thursday, I was quite tired. I did not have all of my faculties about me. And I thought that I had dreamed it, or perhaps it had been a trick of the light, but in my memory, when he came home last Thursday, I swear those beautiful brown eyes were gray once again. I went to Argus's home office in Weehawken in New Jersey, and I spoke with this detestable man named Percy Langhorne, his assistant. And all that Langhorne would tell him was that Mr. Argus was out on business and wouldn't be back for some time. And when I suggested that he may have gone camping with Brendan, the laugh he gave me, mocking as if it was foolish to think a master hypnotist such as Mr. Argus would ever lower himself to go camping, I got nothing further from him. So that is... There is one further thing. In the last few weeks, have you heard of this thing, the League of Forgotten Men? And you guys can each give us, what will this be here, sort of a current events thing. So perhaps...
library use for newspapers?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, I'll buy that. Let's do a library use roll.
I used to love the newspapers in the library. It's been a while, of course, obviously pre-internet, but that was awesome in there.
Hard success.
There's not like a gossip one, is there? Because like maybe you could have heard it, not necessarily that you read the article, but if you're gossiping with lots of people.
Yeah, there could be like
I don't know if there is one.
There isn't, but what you can do though is you can make use of other skills and it just becomes harder. Like you need to make, I think, an extreme success. Let's say a hard success with charm. So remember, guys, only because I remember.
Just switch it to hard, right?
You can do that, but. Yeah, you can do that and make it roll that way. But remember, I believe Lady Avery gets a bonus dice with all charm checks.
Oh,
because of her talent.
Yes, I forgot. Yeah,
Okay.
That's right. We have talents.
Yep. So those, Addison and Finn, be sure to tick the...
So how does that work?
So just roll it.
Sorry,
And-
just tried that.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Finn has helpfully
roll a
demonstrated.
charm.
Just make the roll for the skill at hard. And then click on the bonus penalty dice at the
cancel.
bottom.
Hard.
Interesting.
Charm. It says bonus or penalty in the drop down when you roll it.
Oh, does it? Okay, there you go. So hit bonus.
Just click bonus.
Yep.
Number of dice 1. Submit.
Okay. Click on bonus.
Wait, that's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Here, just click on the bonus penalty. There you go, 31. So that's a success. Because the 3,
nice.
Because it's a bonus, you take the better of the 2, 3, or the 7 as your tens digit.
Right. Okay, that's right. Yeah.
So mark that
then
as
it's
a
a
success.
31.
Yeah. So
nice.
Unsurprisingly, Finn, Addison, and Lady Avery, you've heard about this. The League of Forgotten Men is a pretty young organization founded by someone named Bishop Paul Peter Prang, founded in December of last year, 1934. This incredibly influential radio figure has served up a populist mishmash against both socialism and capitalism for 4 years to millions of listeners. In 1931, instead of buckling under the network oversight of his political sermons, Prang circumvented them by raising funds to build his own airtime, or to buy his own airtime. He supported FDR and the New Deal until recently. Now he calls the president a socialist and tool of the international banking conspiracy, both of which he paints as run by shadowy Jewish cabals. Prang founded the League to formally mobilize his adherents into a lobbying tool, and eventually the foundation of a third party to take back our great nation from all those who would seek to destroy it from within and without. The League is full of disgruntled men and women who are primed to lash out at any perceived enemy, be they immigrants, the banks and big business, or the political establishment. Membership is open to people of any ethnic background. Prang claims no hatred towards any right-thinking individual. The actual members, on the other hand, on the street level, are a little different. It is one of several quasi-fascist organizations that just has sprung up in America during this time. There's the Silver Brigade, which is another separate thing. This is a similar thing, a populist guy. So that's what you guys know about this. And they regularly hold rallies. People attend there, and they have a loose organization. They are modeled not subtly after the brown shirts of the burgeoning German Reich. what she says is that he attended some of their meetings in Brooklyn, and Argus is the one who recommended that he go. He went out of he's told Melody that he went out of courtesy. She found it dull, and as she does politics in general, they went on about immigrants and banking and communists and the threat of more wars. And but Brendan went a couple more times, he said, to make business contacts, but he quickly lost interest as well. She said that's the impression she got of it. Melody's impression of the group wasn't improved by seeing that odious Leopold Fontenelle there. Now, Leopold Fontenelle is someone that all of you know. This is Leopold Fontenelle. Fontenelle, you all would know. You don't need to make a roll for this. He fancies himself kind of like a poor man's Blavatsky. He's written a couple of books on the occult. Actually, if you guys want to give us an occult check, let's see if you remember the names of them. You wisely ignored this guy.
I'm gonna spend some luck.
Oh,
yeah,
do it.
I'm gonna spend.
Addison's pretty close.
Luck.
Okay.
11 luck to make that a success.
Okay. And Addison?
No, if
he's going to do it, you're not going
I hate to get meta. Yeah.
Okay. Well, no, the only reason you would is because if it's a 5, that's going to be a pretty easy advancement. If you do buy that as a success.
There will be times that you may get a chance to roll a cult that no one else is there, so increasing a stat isn't necessarily a...
Chewing through your luck is also
a danger.
Yeah, danger as well. So, here's what you know. Then, Nick, you bought the success. Make sure you tick that. The 3 books he's written that you're aware of, you haven't read them because, again, he's a detestable man. Gods Within and Without from 1925, Wisdom Unbound from 1928, and The Quest for the Aryan Eden of 1932. These are all, it's a hodgepodge of the same kind of theosophic ideas of, there being a master race that has, with secret masters that live in there, and that other races are, descendants to varying degrees from it. He's also, beyond just the inherent racist qualities of theosophy, he is a full-bore bigot. And he also is arrogant as fuck. He actually was kicked out of the Open Mind group as a result of his overwhelming arrogance and, and just a testable presentation. So when she says that she ran into him there, it is not a surprise, and I imagine you share her feeling of it not wanting to run into that fellow again.
Yes.
Melody went to the League of Forgotten Men's Monday night meeting. So after he went missing, she went on Monday night and asked its chief local officer, this guy named Ross Seabrook, about Brendan, and Mr. Seabrook claimed that he barely remembered him. Brendan only went a few times and tried to drum up business, so perhaps that's not a surprise, but I just don't know. I think I am too upset to properly judge whether he would be telling the truth or not. Her shoulders kind of slump as if she's been, perhaps practicing getting all this information out to you all. Then, do you think, can you help find him?
Oh yeah, I think we can help, eh? And he looks around at everyone else.
We'll find him or die trying. Exactly, Addison.
Of course, dear, we will do everything we can.
Are you able to get by in the meantime, Miss Sterling?
Get by the
You said he cleared out your bank account.
He has, and I...
So at this point, Kev,
Yep.
Lady Avery wants to like sleight of hand, like give her some money to not make it obvious to the other characters, like
Okay. Yeah.
because I think that she doesn't want to like flaunt her wealth in front of two of them, but like also like she doesn't want Addison to see
Yeah,
that she's
let's give us
just
a sleight of
straight up
hand check.
giving money. So like I was planning this all along. This is good timing to do it.
Okay.
What's that supposed to mean?
What? Addison?
Beautiful. So make sure you put a tick against that.
Yeah,
So
and it's probably like $50 or something. Pretty.
Yeah, so she sees down and she looks at you and kind of says, like, shakes her head and then says,
In such a way that like they don't see it, but she. Yeah.
yeah. So what she does is she does get it, and she immediately shakes her head and she says, Lady Avery, I have family I can call on for this, and I would not want for a moment for you to think that I called on your assistance strictly. A family I am happy to owe money to. I could not live with myself owing money to friends.
Nothing is owed.
Give us a charm check. You are an exceptionally charming lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see if you win her over here. And remember, you get to roll a bonus. Make sure to put it back to regular, and click that bonus. Okay, that's already
nice.
But roll the bonus. Let's see. Yeah,
Nice.
probably better than 92.
Yeah.
So you can see her eyes are welling up with tears. She's just incredibly touched by the generosity that you've shown her, and she says, "Thank you so much, lady," and Rick comes forward and gives you a big hug. And then she, pulls back and making sure she's not ruining her makeup. Is there anything you had asked about seeing the apartment? I'm happy to do so. I'm happy to give you the name of the or the number of the precinct that I went to. Anything that I can give you the name of our bank.
Yes, the bank name would be helpful. And I think Finn's has been writing down names anyway.
Yeah, so the
Finn's
teller,
been taken down.
the bank teller, his name is George Hillman.
Yes, we will investigate these places. We can take the Cadillac. Max will drive us.
Would it be possible to take a look at your apartment?
Of course. She takes her keys out and hands them over to you. Of course. I have, as you say, timing is of the essence. Please. You know where our place is, 2 blocks west of the iconic Flatiron Building and Madison Square Park.
And I'll make sure these gentlemen don't touch anything inappropriate.
She smiles at that and says,
I wink at her.
I trust that they are all, I know them all well. She's laughing. Thank you so much for looking into this matter and for being such wonderful friends.
Of course. We gotta stick together. Gotta have faith, sister.
Thank you. As an Irish person, I think you need to make sure you're incorporating as many U2 song names into the... So then she will leave you. She has errands that she intended to get done and has been sort of, putting off asking for money from her family because then she needs to tell her family why she's been, needs to get money. I think, Lady Avery, you did her an enormous amount of, if it is indeed some kind of mishap that's happened to Brendan, that's you, and not him stepping out on her, you've saved her an enormous amount of embarrassment with her family.
Yeah, of course.
So she leaves you at the Open Mind Group's kind of like a meeting room here, so you guys can sit around and talk about what you wish to do next. What are you guys thinking? What do you make of all this?
Terrible story. Feel terrible for her.
I'm intrigued by all these various people involved in the occult that he was associated with. Seems like that triangulates something in terms of what may have happened to him. But I feel like our first stop should be the apartment to potentially figure out where they went to on this camping trip.
Yeah, people last.
What do you think, Lady Avery and Addison?
Whatever you gentlemen think, you're the investigators. We'll follow your lead.
Well,
Pressure.
True, but I will be most appreciative of your ability to transport us quickly to the locations we need to search.
Oh, indeed.
I've always wanted to see how dentists live. Let's go.
Yeah, she's also giving you the keys to Brendan's office
Oh, that's great.
as well.
Aye. Because we've got, after that, we've got no shortage of interviews to conduct.
So,
I wonder if we should visit his office first, actually, because that may be a place where he may have hid something, an easier place to hide something purposefully or not
Yes.
from Melody.
Yeah, considering he was obviously keeping her in the dark.
It's thrilling to see your minds at work on this case.
You're too kind, Lady Avery. You're too kind.
You're not wrong.
all
Well,
right.
that's, I like it. The office then.
Forgive me, I was trying to find.
Well, and I think as that conversation continues, Nick explains to Lady Avery, like, problem is I can't do one other goddamn thing well.
And before they go, Finn's going to look for sandwiches. Are there typically refreshments at these?
Yeah, I mean, it's a club, so you would order something and put it on your tab.
Oh, I see.
Pay your thing at the end of the month.
Ah, interesting. Okay, gotcha.
So
Yeah.
get one to go and put it on Lady Avery's tab.
Oh,
That's probably what Addison does. Yeah.
Finn's not sure what he thinks about that.
A quick search of both her home and the dental office, and speaking to his staff there, there is nothing untoward. Nothing looks out of the ordinary. Nothing seems gone. I mean, it's what you would expect for someone who is leaving. There's some clothing that is gone from his wardrobe that would likely speak to his absence, but nothing untoward at his dental office. Nothing untoward at their home.
Can I ask, or I don't know, Melody obviously wouldn't be there, but can I figure out, I guess is the question, if he took clothes that were appropriate to this climate or a different climate? Like, did he take like a burqa and like, big, thick fur coat, even though it's May in New York, or did he take appropriate? Is what's missing appropriate? The kind of clothing appropriate.
So it's May, so it's still pretty early. Depending on where he's going camping, higher up in the Catskills, there's got to still be snow on the mountains, right? So
I would think so. Yeah.
If that's the case, sure. I mean, you could ask Melody about that. And there are his warmest coat is indeed gone.
Yeah.
I don't believe he's gone camping. Who goes camping? Sleep on the ground? Come on. I don't believe it. It's not wartime anymore. Why would men sleep on the ground?
Different strokes for different folks, Mom. You never know.
Where would you check next?
Maybe simpler first. The bank teller shouldn't provide too much pushback, eh? Or would you prefer going
Gary, you were going to say
first?
something too? What was
your
I
thought?
couldn't quite remember. Was the his office in New Jersey? I was trying to look up the name.
Mr. Argus.
Weehawken.
Yeah.
Mr.
Is
Argus's
that where
office.
she went and she was the assistant pushed back?
Yes.
that seems like maybe a good place to at least explore.
Definitely. The bank is in Manhattan, I'm assuming.
It is.
What would you like to learn from the bank, Finn?
Well, I'd like to personally know what state he was in when he withdrew this money, or if anyone else was with him when he withdrew this money.
Sure.
If he was under any pressure.
Okay.
Let me speak with them. These are my people.
So we maybe cut to the you can picture it's inside a big bank, big Manhattan bank, and there's this, tweed suit wearing bank clerk who you're talking to, and named George Hillman. Lady Avery, to set the tone for this, why don't you give us a credit rating check, please?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sorry, I turned edit mode back off. Credit rating. Here we go. Oh,
hard success.
Nice.
So tell us how you have bamboozled this banker.
I think it's just sort of like knowing the right way to talk to him, to just put him at ease. And I think it's also like, even though it's about money, it's like a little bit of her, she, uses her charm, she's like, touching him on the elbow, putting him at ease, sort of like, I
think one of the things in these dire times, the prospect of dangling
deposit.
a carrot of moving money into the bank.
Yeah. And it's sort of that. And then it's like also like, it's like typical where it's like asking questions in such a way where like let him feel smart, right? Like let him, he's telling me how everything works.
So we know you got him wrapped around. Go ahead and ask what we can do.
And then I sort of bring up like my friend Banks here, Brendan Sterling.
Yes.
He's the one who recommended you.
Yes, Mr. Sterling. His wife was in here not long ago asking about him.
Melody, what a wonderful woman.
Yes, she is. Do you know Mrs. Sterling well, or?
Yeah, she's a friend.
Oh, well, I am quite sorry for the turn in circumstances with her husband.
Yes, she had mentioned that he had come in and withdrawn his account.
I cannot tell you how disappointing it is when we see such a thing happen.
Could you speak to his state of mind?
Well,
was he calm? Was he agitated? It seems
I would
strange
say
to close an account.
He did not appear to be under any strain whatsoever. He seemed quite himself from past dealings with Mr. Sterling.
Was he alone?
He was alone, yes.
Interesting. And he took it in cash.
Indeed. Again,
very strange.
It was very... We never like to see an account closed, but the depositors, as we say, are always right.
Yes. I'm sure you don't get that often here.
No, thankfully. I assure you, we are very sound and pedigreed institution.
Now, do you provide a case for him for that money?
We
or
did.
Did he have one with him? Oh. What kind of case? Like, I asked him about the case, as in, like, I'm interested in this bag. So I'd look for a description of it.
Yeah, so he gives you a description of the bag. It's a very nondescript kind of thing.
Right, yeah. But at least it's something like a black leather, whatever.
Yeah.
Might help us if we spot it or see it.
I think if the rest of us are anywhere in the bank,
I think you guys can be lurking, listening in.
I know I don't want to I don't want to. I feel like Lady Avery has this covered, but I know that she can read lips, so I try to say to her how much money.
Oh. I'm not great at this.
I figured let's do it since it's a cool skill.
It's a cool skill. Okay, here we go.
It is.
Oh, That's close. Yeah, I'll for sure. I'll spend the 10 log.
There you go.
Yeah,
Awesome.
that's brilliant. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, you can see he's how much.
Yeah. I know this is a very private matter, but
I have one thing to ask you about. Bow hutch?
yeah. But just for future reference, if I was to need this, withdraw my account, how much did Mr. Sterling withdraw?
I'm certainly you would appreciate that discretion is of course of value to all depositors in the bank, and your money would be treated the exact same way. But I can tell you, Lady Avery, it was the entirety of the account, and it was a substantial amount. He was a very successful dentist.
We don't need to talk specifics, my friend. But of course, you could always give me a ballpark of about how much cash that
A
case
substantial
would hold.
amount.
Yes.
Good try.
I don't know if I can hear, and once again, I don't want to interrupt the charm.
Yeah.
But I'd like to know what color his eyes were at the time, if they.
Two
happen to know.
things. I think Addison, from the way you've been describing him, there is very little chance that he is holding back. So you are more than welcome to interpose. The great Addison Lockhart.
Yeah.
Hi, darling. I was curious. Did you notice anything odd about his appearance
In what way?
or eyes? Did he seem like himself? You must have seen him many times.
Now that you say it, there was. His eyes were gray. Curious. I don't recall them. I don't recall seeing anyone with gray eyes before. That was curious. Do you think that was? No. He seems to be studying you. So you're not by any chance Addison Lockhart, are you?
I am. I am the star of an off-Broadway play coming to a theater near you soon. Have you seen it? Have you seen me in any shows?
I have not. You need not make a psychology roll to know that he's trying to find a tactful way of getting around saying, "I thought you were dead." He's like, I don't attend the theater as often as I'd like, and so many of them have closed now too. But I will keep an eye out for word. It would be lovely to see you on the stage once again after such a long time.
Well, I tuck my tail between my legs, and
Thank you so much for your time, George.
It's happy to help, Lady Avery. If you have any questions about the institution or otherwise, I am more than happy to discuss.
Do you have a card?
Like he's a fast-drawing, a guy in the Old West.
I take his card and put it in my little handbag. Thank you so much.
A pleasure to be of assistance. He turns on a heel, and you hear the clip-clap of his shoes across the marble floor as he makes his way back to one of the many, many desks that the bankers have underneath the what do you call it? Tellers have underneath there. So you have an opportunity to all sort of meet up and talk once again.
Yeah, and I think Lady Avery would share, sort of restate all that, even though she thinks maybe they could hear some of it or whatever. She would clearly make sure that the information is relayed.
Well, the gray eyes again, eh? We have many interviews to conduct, but wouldn't mind hitting the library on that one, perhaps. Don't know. Not sure if that's enough, but it's tempting.
Good catch on that one, Addie. She probably punches him in the shoulder.
I think that's a good idea, and it also brings up what Addison mentioned earlier, that this hypnotist may be a key to this, because Melody mentioned that she saw her husband's eyes turn gray during that ritual or whatever he referred to it as.
I'd like to see.
Go ahead.
I'd like to see this man in action. I might have some insight into his tricks.
He's the low-hanging potato, indeed. We should put him high in the list.
Then I believe that sets us up for next session. So we will be back in 2 weeks' time to carry on with the A Cold Fire Within campaign. But first off, I know I'll do this in a bit of a reverse order this time. First off, a huge thank you to our players. So George, Sean, Gary, and Jeffrey, thank you so much for playing today. Fascinating characters you guys have come up with, and a really fun start to this campaign. I look forward to seeing what you guys... This is one of those games where it is very hard to be like, okay, we're done for the night thing. It's time flies by so quickly. Holy smokes. For those listening at home, thank you so much for joining us for the session 0 and the kickoff of this new campaign. As is always the case, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the session, the campaign, or the game we're playing, please do not hesitate to leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I will endeavor to reply in a timely fashion. In addition, if you can find a link down below to the Dungeon Musings Discord server. We have a channel there dedicated to a wide variety of Lovecraftian games, so you're more than welcome to join us over there, as well as every other game we run on the channel. In addition to that, we have a ton of other great channels over there, including finding a group and setting up virtual tabletops or online conventions. Sean very helpfully keeps our convention chat channel very well updated. So yeah, tons of great people over there, tons of great channels, and if you're looking for people to play with, the Find a Dream channel has seen some success the last little while with a couple of ongoing campaigns now too, so you are more than welcome to head on over there. In addition, there's a link down below to our friends at Noble Knight Games. Noble Knight Games, at the time of recording, is having its 25th anniversary sale. So if you head on over there, and there are a ton of different products that have a 25% discount on them, which is the largest discount they have ever offered in history. If you are listening to this at another time, you can head on over there, and if you do make a purchase of $10 or more through their website, enter the code MUSINGS at checkout, and you will save yourself 10% on the purchase. Noble Knight Games is the preeminent retailer of hard-to-find and out-of-print RPGs in North America, and they also have a terrific selection of brand new RPGs, board games, and card games. My favorite use for them is to fill holes in collections that I've got for older games. They will do that either by way of, if they don't have it in stock, they have an amazing want list feature that you can make use of, and then they'll send you an email when they get a copy of something in. I just finished filling holes in a FASA Star Trek collection for Star Trek Day, thanks to the want list feature. So I am very, and now they've someone asked about doing an overview of it. I wisely just said, well, why don't I do one as a comparison of all the Star Trek things in print? And Noble Knight said, that sounds awesome, do it and we'll promote it. So now I'm kind of talked myself into some future Star Trek games. But that's one example of the things. They don't provide any financial benefit for us whatsoever. They just happen to be a great retailer that I've used a lot in the past. They have also generously donated discounts or gift certificates to our charity initiatives, our charity, which I'll talk about right now. The other thing you can find a link to down below is the Hero Save Villages campaign. That is a charity fundraising campaign we run on the channel. It benefits the SOS Children's Villages International Charity, a really amazing organization active in over 130 countries, benefiting over 80,000 orphan and abandoned children, including ongoing relief efforts in Ukraine and the surrounding countries at the time of recording. And all donations that go through that link go directly to SOS Children's Villages International. None of it goes to the channel or any other middleman. It just goes to benefit the kids who benefit from those services. We have a small way of saying thank you. One of them is through our regular charity raffles. We have an upcoming charity raffle in December of this year, December 2022. Every $25 Canadian that you donate through that will give you one chance to win the grand prize or one of the other great prizes in our next charity raffle. If you want to see what was awarded in the last charity raffle, you can head on over to the Charity Initiatives channel of the Dungeon Musings Discord server, and we have a list of all the prizes that were given away last time, including some terrific prizes from our friends at Beetle and Grimm's Pandemonium Warehouse. In addition, we regularly host charity games, and we ask that donors vote on what the games, to help shape what the game is going to be about. We recently ran a terrifically fun All Flesh Must Be Eaten game that the donors helped decide what genre we were playing in, what setting we were playing in, what characters we'd be playing with. The next charity session will be the end of November, where we will be playing a channel favorite, Modifius Entertainment's Conan Adventures in an Age Undreamed Of, and donors will be helping us shape where it's going to happen, what kind of, it's going to be the barbarian, the thief, the adventurer, the whatever. So lots of fun stuff, fun ways for the donors to help shape what is we're playing on the channel, in addition to win some great gaming stuff, in addition to just helping some kids who could really use some help. The last thing I will say is a huge thank you once again to our stalwart heroes. Guys, George, Sean, Gary, and Jeffrey, thank you so much for playing today. Guys, this was Carl. We missed you tonight, but we were here in spirit. Yeah, these are awesome characters. I'm really looking forward to seeing where these characters go, and you've given me some great ideas. God damn it, for planning well beyond this campaign. So hopefully these guys survive and don't get munched on by some awful thing, or shot by a gangster, or beaten up by a fascist. But until next time, we'll be back in 2 weeks' time with the full session of the Cold Fire Within. Until then, we hope that we gave you a few hours to take your mind off of the troubles of our world and think about the troubles that our heroes in Depression-era Manhattan are running into. Until we see you again, stay safe, stay healthy, and happy gaming.